want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop arguing me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dad.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
It's Red Friday. RED Friday, which stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. A movement designed to honor veterans and deployed U.S. troops by wearing a red shirt every Friday. As simple as that may be, Red Friday is a great way to back those who serve our country. Go to dumbshow.com and search for Red Friday to get your red on.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree, just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. A whole bunch of stuff going on. We want to apologize. Well, I want to apologize because I got sick and
Yeah, what do you think of getting sick? How dare you get sick?
Well,
my God.
I know. I was very considerate. Walking pneumonia is nasty. So feeling much better. Olivia, it's always good to see you. It's
always
weekend time.
Yes.
So you got a new necklace. Where did you get that? It's not pearl. Notice that.
No, Hayden's best friend got us all presents, and that's what she got me. So I thought I'd wear it tonight.
Well, that was nice of her.
Yeah.
That's sweet. What did she get me? She got me a book, right?
Yeah.
A journal.
Yeah, a journal.
That was nice. She's
very sweet. She's
a good kid. She's a good kid. I guess we won't talk about the other gift she left us, but.
I don't think we're live on Instagram, dear.
We're not tonight. I didn't want to deal with it. So
okay. Thank you. That's all I need to know.
I want to get Instagram to figure out their thing. But the good news is Rumble has graduated. They got us a permalink. So our show now has a permanent link. So I don't have to go in and program Rumble every single night, which is great. How are we doing on Spreely? We set?
We're set. We're up.
Outstanding. Well, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We've got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot that's happening. So I know we came on and we talked a little bit about the client list, which is not the client list. Everyone thinks it's the client list. It's not. It's simply the court documents that were released, 180 names. There were 2,200 documents that I received that I dropped. And then after that, 954. So I got both sets for you. The second and third have dropped since that time, and now we're up to 180 some odd names. Had a chance to list those names and show you a video in regards to those. And here it is. And I apologize, this is so fast, but it's a lot when it's 180 names. Now, some of these people are accused of things that are pretty bad. From Stephen Hawking's to Alan Dershowitz to Prince Edward to comments about Clinton. Trump is simply being spoken about in the third person, as in, I'm going to call Trump for a hotel, whatever. And, listen, when you have a multi-billionaire who wants to spend money in your hotel and you're not necessarily aware of the good, the bad, or the indifferent that he does, it's fine to, give him your number. And inside Epstein's black book, Donald Trump's numbers were there in regards to, front desk phone numbers, finance phone numbers, reservations, dinner reservations, all that to certain hotels. And it looked like literally what you would see, like a VCF contact card that would be given to somebody when you want to exchange your phone number and email via iPhone or whatever. Who cares? Donald Trump, there's still absolutely no evidence that he went to the island. He was on the flights 7 times, but those were chartered flights from Florida to New Jersey, and who cares? He was never in New Mexico. He was never in the other parts of Epstein's home. And at this point, you have to kind of exonerate, at least from this case, Donald Trump. But this seems to be no big deal to the left. The left just continue to want to hit on him. And just because his name was mentioned, oh, he's this, he's that. But of course, they won't look at Bill Clinton. They won't look at
Of course not.
most of the CEOs and that are Democrat, et cetera. And honestly, when it comes to Bill Clinton, there's no evidence of wrongdoing there, too. Now, there's some accusations. There's some things that are said. And people might be like, wait, how can you do that? Well, because you have to hold the same level of scrutiny for Trump that you do for Clinton and everyone else. And until, this is one person's, comments and statements. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you after I read it, I'm going to be honest with you. There's some things that I find extremely troubling. And probably extremely accurate, but then I also have to look at the character of the person who is saying those things. And book deals were done, and TV contracts and publishers, and a lot of money changed hand. And you have to ask yourself the question: do we believe all women? Do we believe all men? Yeah, of course we believe. But does that mean that we don't trust and verify? Well, we should. So here's my argument. If Bill Clinton most assuredly did these things, and we're assuming that he did based upon the evidence that's circumstantial, then don't we believe that he would be held accountable from Republicans and going after Clinton? Well, then people say, no, it's a deep state. And well, then this is all a moot point. This is stupid. None of us should be talking about it then, because nothing's ever going to happen. Do I believe anything will happen? No. Do I believe something should happen? Yes. But this is politics, and this goes back to the Renaissance and the Age of Enlightenment, and it's always been kings and queens and peons. It's always been this way. And just because we aren't, covered in filth and rolling hay balls full of manure, it doesn't mean we're not peasants and peons. We still get in our metal coffins every single day and go to work, pay an exuberant amount of taxes, and we are given pittance for the work that we do. This is nothing new. So for anyone to assume that the elite aren't going to protect the elite, they are. And this is why nothing ever happens. This is why Hillary Clinton's not in jail. This is why Donald Trump will not be in jail for what he did. Joe Biden will never be held accountable. Hunter Biden will never see a day in jail. If you haven't taken notice, nothing ever happens. Ever. Plea deals are given out. Look at Maxwell, was given a plea deal. Look at Epstein before he killed himself. Complete plea deal. So my thoughts are this. It is what it is. Hold on a second. Who's talking about our daughter on YouTube?
Someone's talking about our daughter on YouTube. Oh, it is Hayden. She logged in. Swifty City. Oh, I get it. I was like, what in the world?
I was like, what the? It's like, who's talking? Jeez Louise. Hayden, give us an idea when you decide to go ahead and create a ghost account there, Turbo Cake. But anyway, so Hayden misses us, obviously. It's amazing because now she's creating, to watch the show, she's creating her own YouTube account. That's so cute. All right, so that's enough about Epstein. Liv, couple things we're doing tonight, just so you know and are aware. And I know we literally walked into this because you were at the store and doing your stuff. So I want to give you a rundown of what we're talking about so you have an idea. The Biden breakdown. We're going to watch the video. Biden addressed the country today, January 6th. It was his opening election announcement. So I want to pick this apart. I want to get your reaction too, Livy.
Okay.
Colorado lost its fight with the ballot. He's now back on the ballot in Colorado. Good. So this is now 2. We know Maine's going to follow suit. This is just embarrassing for these states that are doing this, and they're going to continue, and it's going to make them even more popular. A SWAT team enters a house, and I want you guys to watch this interaction. It's a really important interaction when it comes to your individual rights. And then Vivek wins one finally. I saw an interview with Vivek and a news reporter, and I got to say, this is the guy that I like. And even though he was still rambunctious and obnoxious, he wasn't going after a fellow Republican. He was going after the media, and this is what I think he should demonstrate more often. So, which one you want to do first? Ladies' choice. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do. Joe Biden.
Sure. Joe Biden sounds great.
Oh, you want to do Joe Biden?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Amazing. You just automatically picked it. Let's watch it. Now, for those people who are like, oh, I can't watch this because it's Joe Biden, knock it off. By the way, if you haven't downloaded the new update to the Mac, please do. The wallpapers are full motion video. If you've ever seen the Apple TV, so the Apple TV has these beautiful landscapes. Well, excuse me. These wallpapers play in the background whenever your computer goes to sleep. And then when you play it, it turns into the wallpaper wherever you stopped. So each video image is interlaced into it. So wherever you stopped, it stopped. And then when you turn off the computer again, boom, it starts again. So your wallpaper is the video. It's really cool. Whatever. I thought it was neat. And Olivia's going to like it too when she gets her update done on her Mac.
You changed my picture. Thank you.
Yeah, because you complained. You whined incessantly.
No, I didn't.
So, yeah, you did.
No,
yeah,
I
you
just
did. You
said
mentioned
I never liked it.
4 times in one night. 4 times, Lily.
4 times. I didn't like the picture.
4 times,
funky.
Bob. She said you've never gone 4 times before, Bob. Let's watch this. This is Biden's address. It is a big chunk. We're going to talk about it. This may take up a lot of the show, but I don't want to hear anyone say, oh, I got to get out of here. I can't watch this. I can't listen to him anymore. Yes, you can, and you should. And you absolutely should listen to this yokel because it's important. So let's break it down. Here it is. Maybe not.
You know, I was going to remind you to switch the sound before, and I just forgot.
I got to get it. You know, these are little things I fixed. Did you like the little overhead camera shot that we have?
I wasn't focused on that.
What?
I was turning on since I
Adjusting transmitter
got in
output.
here like 5 seconds.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show.
I only did that once. Only did that once. Oh, I guess I could have just done this.
You just flip the camera. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's pretty cool. Although I blend into my chair, so I look.
It's a floating head.
What's going on, everybody? So that's pretty cool. We got to get Mike in here
Now
too.
you can see the set, how we're all set up.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a cool thing. Had an extra iPhone and said, well, screw it. We'll just kind of put this thing in here and go from there.
Well, I have to say something before we get started.
Okay, what do you want to say?
We didn't hit 1,000 on YouTube by the new year.
No,
I'm kind of bummed.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
We were 117 short. But my birthday's in 2 months, so let's make it a birthday present. 2 months to get 117.
Yeah, let's get 1,000 before we have Olivia hit 50. Real important, folks. Got to hit that.
You're a dick. That's 6 years away, dear.
I know. I'm the one that's gonna be 50.
Exactly.
God. Yeah, but guys look better with age. So
I don't look a day past 24.
Okay. So moving on. Wow, let's watch this video. I love this guy. Look at this guy. You're looking at him and go, man, he's well put together. And then you see like the 18 gauge hole earring, and it's just like, oh God. You know, liberals. They just, they just have those things. Just Jeff Foxworthy or who said it wasn't Foxworthy. Was it Dunham or whoever it is? Here's your sign.
That is Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, Dunham said that.
No, it was Foxworthy.
No. Foxworthy was, you might be a redneck. Here's your sign. Was that Tater? Whatever his face is?
No, I think it was Fox.
Whatever. It's not Foxworthy, is it? Who gives a shit? The point is, here's your sign. Their signs are high heels, stockings, nose rings, those type of things. Oh, and getting their penises lopped off. Those are the signs of a liberal. Here it is.
Narrowest of margins, 184 votes.
Shush. We want to listen to Dark Brandon, which is racist in itself.
Jill Biden.
That's Dr. Jill Biden, you sanctimonious. What is this music? This is terrible. This is like something you would get off Envato, Just, can I get the license for free?
It's like
SWAT.
some disco.
No, it's like
from the
it's
70s.
like 1970s freaking like SWAT or detective show, right? Starsky and Hutch. You have some guy, Joe Biden comes out and he's got aqua blue sunglasses and he's on top of a freaking 76 Nova. And he's like Joe Biden, and a little gleam in his teeth. Ting. Well,
Thank you.
that's complete shit. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Bill Engvall did the Here's Your Sign. There you go. Well, I got to say, this is a lot more patriotic than the last time he did this. And with, without the Hitler mustache and the glowing red eagle and, the Third Reich overall allure of his speech. Let's see if it's any better. But those flags are horrendous. First of all, they are folded completely in a terrible fashion. Terrible fashion. And 3 flags should not have different levels. All flags should be flying at the same level. There's little things, right? You can just tell that these guys aren't military. They don't know what they're doing. But anyway, let's watch it anyway. Those flags are way too small for those staffs. Just let you know.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there's like 5 people there.
Thank you. Please.
All right, let's quiet down now, people. Come on. Let's everyone simmer down now. I know you've been paid to be here, but
Thank you.
should we honk our horns? Go out to their cars and honk their horns like they did when he was running in the basement?
Please. Thank you very, very much.
Jeez.
Today, the topic of my speech today is deadly serious. And
Deadly serious.
Why so serious?
It's all part of the plan.
Why so serious, Batman?
It's all part of the plan.
All right, let's see what
I think it needs to be made at the outset of this campaign.
he's already mumbling.
Yep.
He said he needs to get on his knees on the outset of this campaign. That makes a lot of sense.
In the winter of 1777,
When I was a young boy,
I was just thinking that.
when I was 4,
it was harsh and cold as the Continental Army marched to Valley Forge. General George Washington knew he faced the most daunting of tasks: to fight and win a war against the most powerful empire existed in the world at the time. His mission was clear: liberty, not conquest; freedom, not domination; national independence, not individual glory. America made a vow: never again would we bow down to a king. Months ahead would be incredibly difficult. But General Washington knew something in his bones, something about the spirit of the troops he was leading, something about the soul of the nation he was struggling to be born. In his
What?
Did he say he was struggling to be born?
George, it's like George was in the womb at this time? I'm confused.
general order, he predicted, and I quote, "With one heart and one mind, with fortitude and with patience, they would overcome every difficulty," the troops he was leading. And they did. They did. This army that lacked blankets and food, clothes and shoes. This army whose march left bloody bare footprints in the snow. This ragtag army made up of ordinary people. Their mission.
Oh, you mean like a militia? An armed militia? Oh. I didn't know that he was pro Second Amendment. This is fantastic. I think Joe Biden's about ready to make a political shift here, folks. Let's listen in.
George Washington declared was nothing less than a sacred cause. That was the phrase he used, a sacred cause. Freedom, liberty, democracy, American democracy.
Yeah, I will bet you a lot of money that George Washington never said the words American democracy. I'm fact check me. I will be unless it was negative, but you're going to sit here and tell me that George Washington said American democracy at Valley Forge. Please let me know. Olivia, fact check me.
I just visited the grounds of Valley Forge. I've been there a number of times from the time I was a Boy Scout years ago.
When I created the Boy Scouts. It's not called the Boy Scouts anymore. It's called Scouts, you frickin' non-binary dick.
You know, it's the very site that I think every American should visit because it tells a story of the pain and the suffering and the true patriotism it took to make America. Today, we gather in a new year, some 246 years later, just one day before January 6th. A date forever shared in our memory because it was on that.
Liv?
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
If you haven't found it yet.
Well, the first thing that pulls up is his speech. That's all that pulls up. All I said is, did George Washington
You can just
say?
do it on your computer and you can do a search real quick, right? Out of words. But I've read a lot of George Washington. I don't think he would have ever used the phrase American democracy in a positive light. So just something to think about.
Day that we nearly lost America, lost it all. Today, we're here to answer the most important of questions. Is democracy still America's sacred cause?
No.
I mean it.
No. The answer is no. No. Democracy is not America's sacred cause. No. No. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is America's sacred cause. America's sacred cause is endowed by the Creator, by natural law and the law of God. And that is supported through the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. So no, democracy, no. That's not the answer to the question. We are a representative democracy, but you would then be making the focus on the politician and the government versus the individual rights of the citizens of this country. So the cause of America, the causation of America, the pulse of America, the bloodline of America are its people, you sanctimonious douche plow.
This is not rhetorical, academic, or hypothetical. Whether democracy is still America's sacred cause.
No, it's not. What do we got, Liv?
It says, while Washington probably delivered some inspirational speeches to the troops at Valley Forge, these have not been recorded for posterity. Historians have collected copies of general orders issued by Washington during Valley Forge, and I read what they are, and the words American democracy were not uttered together in it.
Good. Had a feeling. Well, it's okay. I mean, the President of the United States should understand more about our country's history than me, you would think. So he must know something more than I do.
Is the most urgent question of our time.
There.
He was there. He was 4 years old. He should remember this.
Exactly.
And it's what the 2024 election is all about. The choice is clear. Donald Trump's campaign is about him, not America, not you.
Sarah says, Matt, America is a republic. Yeah, I'm well aware, Sarah. Well aware. With a representative democracy. So we are a representative democracy. Our election process is through democratic means. That doesn't mean our form of government is a democracy. It is not a majority rule. It is not a mob rule. That is how laws are passed. That is how funding and appropriations are decided upon. That's how legislation is approved. That is how we decide if laws are just. That is how we enforce and execute the laws, is through a representative democracy. But that has nothing to do with the people. We are a republic which recognizes the individual rights are superior to the collective rights and the rights of the government. So, yeah, I know.
Donald Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past, not the future. He's willing to sacrifice our democracy, put himself in power. Our campaign is different. For me and Kamala, our campaign is about America. It's about you. It's about every age.
Did he call her Kamala?
Mm-hmm.
Not Kamala?
Mm-hmm. Kamala is what he called her.
Okay.
Background.
My color carameled Kamala. I'm surprised he didn't say something racial right there.
That occupy this country.
You know, the days when Byrd and Wallace and I were trying on our robes, we never thought we would have that colored person running with me for vice president. But wait, I can't say that anymore. I'm sorry. How did he get away with the things that he has said and comes off as
because he's Democrat?
He's just grandpa. He's just he's a good human being. He's got so many good things.
His eyes look dead. They look like just black holes. They don't look like there's any life to them.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's kind of scary. He looks like a cartoon character.
It looks like he should be on the Polar Express.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Better than anybody else. And you don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. My state is anything from a northeast liberal state.
Yeah, just such a...
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid. About the future. We're going to continue to build together. And our campaign is about preserving and strengthening our American democracy. 3 years ago tomorrow, we saw with our own eyes the violent mob storm the United States Capitol.
Oh, boy.
It's almost in disbelief as you first turned on the television. For the first time in our history, insurrectionists had come to stop the peaceful transfer of power in America. First time. Smashing windows, shattering doors, attacking the police. Outside, gallows were erected as the MAGA crowd chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." Inside, they hunted for Speaker Pelosi. The House was chanting.
You guys hit Sarah William. Get her out of here, please. Sarah William. Ban her ASAP.
Got it.
As they marched through and smashed windows. Where's Nancy? Over 140 police officers were injured. Jill and I attended the funeral of police officers who died as a result of the events of that day.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Come on. Complete lie, fabrication, BS.
Because of Donald Trump's lies. They died because these lies brought a mob to Washington. He promised it would be wild.
There were gallows made. People made it in front of the Capitol building and erected a wooden gallows and had a noose. Yeah, it did happen. It's absolutely true. He's not lying about that. And they did chant, "Hang Mike Pence." It's 100% true. Once again, that's freedom of speech. And you have every right to do that. Not that it's right, not that I agree with it, that I think it's wrong, but you have every right to say those things. It's not a direct threat. It doesn't say, "I'm going to hang Mike Pence." They have a right to say that. And if we think that they don't, well, then half of Hollywood needs to go to prison, including Johnny Depp, Madonna, Kathy, whatever redhead looks like a mule kicked her in the face, Snoop Dogg, I can go on and on. Jimmy Kimmel, all the people.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, all the people. Well, Alec Baldwin. Wait a second. What?
Has he said anything?
No, he shot somebody, but that's good enough. Let him go to jail too. So, but everyone who has done anything in regards to some sort of physical harm to Donald Trump should all be in jail. So I'm not saying that the people on January 6th who made the gallows, those people are complete idiots. They're idiots. But they have a right to be idiots. And unfortunately, the First Amendment does protect assholes too. So he's not wrong with what he just said right there, but everything else is. We were not going to lose our country. It's just, okay, what is that?
I don't know. It's not me.
Whatever it is, it needs to stop.
It's
the people
not me.
in chat, it's Facebook chat, they need to stop. If you could ask them on
Yeah,
Messenger.
I'm not getting anything on Messenger because it's not me.
I think it's Messenger. Just ask them to stop posting.
I don't have any.
So anyway, but yeah, the in no way, shape, or form were we going to lose our country on January 6th. That is by far just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's absolutely ridiculous. We've went into it 100 times. I'm not going to go into it again. Let's listen to the rest.
I know.
Kathy Griffin. Yes, that is her name. Okay, I got to reload the video. 7:41.
Citizens would be heard. Free and fair elections. He told the crowd inside they hunted for Speaker Pelosi. The House was chanting as they marched through and smashed windows, "Where's Nancy?" Over 140 police officers were injured. Jill and I attended the funeral of police officers who died as a result of the events of that day.
Lie.
On TV in the private small dining room off the Oval Office. The entire nation watched in horror. The whole world.
Yeah.
Did he just say he watched it from the Oval Office? He wasn't even.
I don't know. He did say that the entire nation watched it in horror, and I don't think anybody was in horror. Let's listen.
From within, Donald Trump watched on TV in the private small dining room off the Oval Office.
My Oval Office.
Nice, Joe. Nice. My Oval Office,
My Oval Office.
My Oval Office, huh? Interesting.
Now,
it's actually our Oval Office, you dick.
The entire nation watched in horror. The whole world watched in disbelief.
the whole world's watching.
And Trump did
right
nothing.
Now.
Members of his staff, members of his family, Republican leaders who were under attack at that very moment pled with him. Act. Call off the mob. Imagine had he gone out and said, stop.
Kind of like in Afghanistan, maybe kind of like BLM. I mean, we could sit here and do this all day. Donald Trump reacted within an hour and 25 minutes of the event, and his speech also was going on while this was taking place. I'm not going to sit here and condone Donald Trump's actions for everything he's done, but this whole bullshit of hanging J6 around his neck, he could have done more. Of course he could have. And this whole thing, he tried to get the National Guard. Give me a break. Folks, I've already went through all this. I'm not going to go through it again. When you watch this show, you're going to get reality. You're not going to get any pipe dreams. You're not going to get any fake Twitter BS. You're going to get facts, right? That's important. So to sit here and say that Donald Trump sat on his hands, he sat on his hands as much as George Bush sat on his hands during 9/11. He sat on his hands as much as the Obama administration did on Benghazi. He sat on his hands as much as Biden did with Afghanistan and his response for lockdowns. And I can go throughout history. I can go through it. No, I'm not going to play it, Lady J. I'm going to play it whenever I want to, because this is a talk show. And if you want cable, you can go find it somewhere else. No offense, but this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely a distortion of the truth. Lady J, I don't know if you were asking me to play this or play. I don't know what you're asking, but either way, this isn't the way this works. I watch. Livia watches. We make commentary. That's why we have a show. Here we go.
And still, Trump did nothing. It was among the worst derelictions of duty by a president in American history. An attempt to overturn a free and fair election by force and violence. A record 81 million people voted for my candidacy.
A lot more than that voted. I don't know what he's talking about. 81 for his candidacy? Oh.
And to end his presidency.
Yeah, with unsolicited mail-in ballots. I mean, that's congrats.
Trump lost the popular vote by 7 million.
Popular vote isn't how we decide on president, jackass.
Trump's claims about the 2020 election never could stand up in court. Trump lost 60 court cases.
That's true.
60.
He sure did.
Trump lost the Republican control.
Trump didn't offer the National Guard. I don't care what Mike Huckabee said. Mike Huckabee wouldn't know that because Mike Huckabee doesn't have any information, and neither do I, because there was no order actually expressed. Mark Meadows put in a letter requesting to consider if it was needed, and it was not. And if there were intelligence reports that J6 was going to take place, then we could start holding people accountable. But until then, Republican, Democrat, and anyone in between had no inclination, at least from the FBI standpoint that we've heard thus far, on what they will comment, that there was any inclination of a major event like this taking place. Let's be honest. I've spoken to 3 Capitol police officers about this event, and all 3 of them said that it was one of the most hectic and chaotic days. They saw 3 types of responses. People who were just letting these people in, assuming they were conservatives and they would not riot. But that was the overall theme. Conservatives, Trump supporters, they don't riot. This is simply people who we don't want to upset them. Let's let them in. Other people took a hard line and said, no, the buck stops here. And then other people were just absolutely confused and had absolutely no direction whatsoever. The Capitol Police was a complete quagmire that day and should be held accountable. But to sit here and say that he made a formal request to the D.C. mayor for National Guard troops is an unequivocal lie. It's not true. You can't just simply say, I want troops. That's not the way it works. The President of the United States is able to use the D.C. Guard, but it is not states' National Guard. It is the District of Columbia in power of the President of the United States to use those through the Sergeant of Arms of the United States Capitol and the mayor of D.C. for any type of utilization of the National Guard. He needs to write a formal request saying, I request 1,000 troops, whatever, blah, 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 for this date, this time, in this capacity. And that is either affirmed or denied. That never took place. There is no such document. I've seen the letter from Mark Meadows. It is not a formal request. It is a letter of inquisition. Do we is very different than we must. Okay? So let's just be clear. And Mike Huckabee is going to peddle whatever he can for Donald Trump. No offense. I like Mike Huckabee, but he is in Trump's corner. He'll say whatever he wants. And there's plenty of people who do. I'm just going to give you what we know versus what we think we know.
States. Trump lost before Trump.
And there were 200 government agents planted to incite. Maureen, I don't know where this is coming from. We've had this conversation. Call into the show if you want to have this argument.
Appointed judge and then judges. And Trump lost before the United States Supreme Court.
Like the Beltway Trucker Brigade was unknown. Shake my head. What are you talking about? You're talking about 2 different situations. What are you talking about? What do you mean it was all over the media? It was all over social media what? The people were going there. So you're telling me that there was social media, photographs and pictures on the general public all open saying, we're going to go ahead and storm the Capitol on January 6th. You show me one. Chad, you are by far one of the dumbest people that follow me. And I have always promised to try to be inclusive and bring everybody who wants to. You can go away anytime you want. You're a fucking idiot. No offense. I'm up to here with you. You're the dumbest person I've ever met on social media. And this is like the 40th post where I just literally, I just want to jump off my roof to escape your stupidity. So, Chad, I have openly said this now. I would love for you to call in. I've already embarrassed you like 6 times this week with your absolute nonsensical crap. So if you're a man, call into my show. Come and face me live instead of being such a pussy who sits back and just espouses bullshit all day long, okay? I'm not in the mood. You're such a douche plow.
He lost. Trump lost recount after recount after recount and state after state. But in desperation and weakness, Trump and his MAGA followers went after election officials who ensured your power as a citizen would be heard. These public servants had their lives forever upended by attacks and death threats for simply doing their jobs. In Atlanta, Georgia, a brave black mother and her daughter, Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, were doing their jobs as election workers until Donald Trump and his MAGA followers targeted and threatened them, forcing them from their homes and unleashing racist vitriol on them. Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who was just hit with a $148 million judgment for cruelty and defamation that he inflicted against them. Other state and local elected officials across the country faced similar personal attacks. In addition, Fox News agreed to pay a record $787 million for the lies they told about voter fraud. Let's be clear about the 2020 election. Trump exhausted every legal avenue available to him to overturn the election. Every one. But the legal path
JD says
Trump back to the truth.
JD says Donald Trump
that
and his
won the election,
Magra followers. It's just what he sounds like.
He's a loser.
I guess Chad is, or whatever his face is. Is it Chad?
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to call in. Chad trolls the site nonstop. Chad doesn't even know what side he's on. 1 minute, Chad sounds like he's defending Trump. Chad just hates me, and that's fine. And Chad knows he doesn't have the mental faculties to come on here and wax intellect. So he has to vicariously do it through a Facebook proxy. And that's fine. But Chad, I'm done not talking shit about you. I'm just going to continue to slam you as often as possible until you get sick of it and just pop smoke. So be a man. Come on. Have a conversation. Come tell me why I'm wrong.
Well,
yes, Cheryl, I have.
So knowing how his mind works now, he had one act left, one desperate act available to him: the violence of January the 6th. And since that day, more than 1,200 people have been charged for their assault on the Capitol.
Chad says, "I know you're a Trumper, but it's okay." Chad,
Trumper?
No, it's cool. Chad, I know you're mentally fucking deficient, and it's not okay because you're like a spastic retard trying to play football. You don't have the skill set, and I don't know what to tell you, but you don't get trophies on my show for just showing up. You have never made a statement on this show that you can back up with anything factual. You espouse verbal diarrhea consecutively every time you talk. You have no basis to call me a Trumper because I am by far from a Trumper because that's not how I identify as a political loyalist to a demagogue. I don't surrender my freedoms and my beliefs and my opinion to a man. I don't know where you're from, but for you to say I'm a Trumper must mean that you are loyal to somebody in the hierarchy of your small confined brain space. And if that's you, that's fine, but that's not me. I'm not loyal to any man who doesn't demonstrate the same loyalty and fealty to the things that I hold dear. And in no way, shape, or form has Donald Trump done that, Ronald Reagan done that, Joe Biden done that, Kennedy. There is no politician who has ever put my needs above their own. So you can go ahead and swing from one of these guys' testicles like you swing from mine. That's your choice. But you're just a fickle little putz who can't defend anything that they say. And that's fine. Everyone knows you're scared. There's not one person on this chat, even the people who don't like me, who know that you are not literally pissing in your frilly white laced panties. And just come on. It's right there, 804-212-2208. I'll even let you have 5 minutes to say whatever the fuck you want. But I promise you, you won't last 30 seconds. Your wife told me.
Nearly 900 of them have been convicted or pled guilty. Collectively to date, they have been sentenced to more than 800.
No. Not name calling. No. See, name calling didn't start until little Chad decided to play 2-year-old and start the name calling. I have no problem getting down into the dregs and the drudgery of name calling and being alpha males that sit here and just spew monikers of 4-letter words at each other. I can play that game. No problem. And I do it often. But I also can play the game that is what most people don't play, which is to have respect and admiration for the person sitting across from you. I already tried that with Chattis. Okay, Chattis decided to go ahead and sling his little petulant turd insults from afar like a coward, and now he's just getting it right back in his face. So please don't mourn for Chattis. He'll be absolutely fine. He's getting exactly what he wants: attention.
40 years in prison. And what's Trump done? Instead of calling them criminals, he's called these insurrectionists patriots. They're patriots. And he promised to pardon them if he returns to office. Trump said that there was a lot of love on January the 6th. The rest of the nation, including law enforcement.
Did he just do a Valley Girl? Did he just do he just do a guffaw? Let's listen to this.
840 years in prison. And what's Trump done? Instead of calling them criminals, he's called these insurrectionists patriots. They're patriots. And he promised to pardon them if he returns to office. Trump said that there was a lot of love on January the 6th. The rest of the
What the heck was that?
God, it's like, you know, it's like, you wonder if they write this speech for him and he doesn't read it, and because it seems like it surprises him. He's like, oh, like this is shocking, like, because they know they're going to get one shot at this. Like they can't do a dry run because that's going to be it, right? That's going to be it. They give him one chance, and he's up there, and he's just as shocked to hear this as we are. Yeah, once again, I don't get down into the 2-year-old arguments with people unless they go ahead and strike first. I'm a garbage in, garbage out person. You want to go ahead and sling arrows, we can play that game. You want to come and have a conversation, we can do that too. But if you would like me to, I would be happy to pull up all of Chad's comments over the last about 7 months that he has actually been swinging from my testicles. And you will absolutely maybe not agree with everything I said, but you will have a hard time disagreeing with anything that I said. This guy is a world-class bozo. He doesn't even know where he stands. He has no idea what he believes in. He only believes in say everything opposite as to what I say. That's it. That's all he's here for.
Including law enforcement, saw a lot of hate and violence. One Capitol police officer called it a medieval battle. That same officer was called vile racist names. He said he was more afraid in the capital of the United States of America, in the chambers, than when he was fighting as a soldier in the war in Iraq. He said he was more afraid inside the halls of Congress than fighting in the war in Iraq. And trying to rewrite the facts of January 6th, Trump is trying to steal history the same way he tried to steal the election.
Kind of way the Democrats stole history that slavery was a Republican issue, that the party of Lincoln were Democrats, that Jim Crow law was put in place by Republicans. Manifest Destiny was a conservative movement. Eugenics was a conservative movement to depopulate the African-American population with abortion. That the complete erasing of the culture of Native Americans was Republican. Japanese internment camps were Republican. Anti-civil rights movements in the 13 states that voted against it was Republican. Look at the 37 of the top 50 states as far as crime, as far as African-American death and fatherless homes are ran by Democrats. Rewriting history started with the Daughters of the Confederacy, which were KKK sympathizers, easy for you to say, and the South. And these statues that you want to tear down are all indicators of what you put in place. It wasn't conservatives that put these statues in place. It was the South, and it was Democrats and the Daughters of the Confederacy, these hundreds of statues that you see. To rewrite history like y'all are doing right now. 1619 Project. So for him to sit here and say that Donald Trump's trying to rewrite history, when he said that there was a lot of love, he was talking about the 57,000 people who were at his speech. He's not necessarily referring to what happened with J6ers. And yeah, he did say he's going to pardon J6ers. You know, and I've hit Trump for this. Why didn't he do anything while he was in office? He could have done a blanket pardon for all of them. He didn't. Donald Trump hasn't given one penny to those people for their attorney's fees, for anything. So for anyone to sit here and say Donald Trump has stood by the J6ers, actually he hasn't. And he may say things because it sounds good on a campaign trail. But if you actually want to look at the receipts say that he hasn't lifted a fucking finger for them. So stop playing games. You know, or we can sit here and talk about college reimbursement. We can talk about free health care. Remember these things, how you were going to fight Roe v. Wade and actually keep it and codify it? That didn't take place either. Remember the border? Remember Afghanistan? Remember overall economy? Remember how gas prices were Vladimir Putin's fault, but now that they're back to a stable area, a lot of people are seeing the forest through the trees, that your presidency is going to be over, that your ratings are over, and the stock market and the world dollar is saying, hey, let's go ahead and reinvest because this douchebag is actually going to be out of office. You believe that has something to do with you letting the economy get back to where it was at record levels before COVID. And yes, Donald Trump owns a shit ton of responsibility for that. A shit ton of responsibility for his reckless spending. But don't sit here and tell me that it wasn't the best economy that literally the United States has ever seen, because it was. So simply by getting back to where it was, by you taking your hand off the switch and not imposing any more throttling regulations on middle income and small businesses, that doesn't make you a prognosticator of prognosticators. It makes you a person who is a wrong co-president who can set it and forget it. Congratulations for not mucking it up and leaving it where it was, allowing these businesses to open back up, allowing America to open back up. Stop apologizing around the world for the United States of America. Stop begging for fuel in countries that are socialist-based or terrorist-based because you're too much of a coward and a feckless coward to release the energy and independence of this country. Stop blaming that you don't have enough money for the border when you have never asked for anything for the border. Your entire party rejected the border wall. You still have the money for the border wall. You can put that in place. And to say that Republicans aren't going to give you the border, that's what Republicans have been asking for. You just want to tie it to omnibus bills and pork barrel politics and spend $1.1 trillion to get an additional, what, $40 to $50 million for the border? Give me a break. This guy is just, they're so tired of it. This has nothing to do with Trump. Sorry, Liv.
But
Sorry.
we knew the truth because we saw it with our own eyes. This wasn't like something, a story being told. It was on television repeatedly. We saw it with our own eyes. Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault. They were insurrectionists, not patriots. They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution. Trump won't do what an American president must do. He refuses to denounce political violence. So hear me clearly. I'll say what Donald Trump won't. Political violence is never, ever acceptable in the United States political system. Never, never, never.
Unless it's BLM, Antifa, unless it's Oregon, Washington, unless it's inner cities that are opposing Donald Trump.
Maxine Waters.
Yeah, unless it's Maxine Waters, none of that. Unless it's people bailing out BLM protesters, unless it's cops getting pelted with feces and frozen water bottles and Molotov cocktails and fireworks, losing digits, eyesight, and hearing, right? That's not insurrection. Storming the anteroom chambers of SCOTUS. No, the protests that have been happening inside political buildings inside Washington, D.C., whether it be in the State Hall, whether it be in the Jefferson Center, whether it be in Lincoln's memorial for Hamas and pro-Palestine, give me a break. That's not insurrection. This is insurrection, right? Got it. Even though nobody's been charged with insurrection, not one person. Liv, how you feeling?
I'm fantastic.
Great. We're going to get through this. We're almost done, I guess.
Good, because my ears are bleeding.
I know.
Having to listen to them.
Well, at least that's all.
It has no place in a democracy, none. You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. You know, Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it. At his rally, he jokes about an intruder whipped up by the big Trump lie, taking a hammer to Paul Pelosi's skull and echoing the very same words used on January 6th. Where's Nancy? And he thinks that's funny. He laughed about it.
Yeah, I don't particularly like that side of Donald Trump, and I've called out his abhorrent nature when it comes to Paul Pelosi. I think that's cowardly. I don't like Paul Pelosi. I don't like Nancy Pelosi, but I certainly don't want to see that. People make shit up, and you know what? We are just as guilty as the left for making stuff up that isn't true. It's just, you know, it is what it is, and I don't know what to say. But if we're going to sit here and try to count coup for every time that liberals have slighted conservatives and as many times as conservatives have slighted liberals, both parties are at fault. And all the constituents and all the representatives and anyone who considers themselves to be either party is responsible for this, because I don't see a lot of my peers calling people out. I see a lot of them banking their clicks. But you know what? I got a little small video that's went to 150,000 people on Twitter for the first time. You know what? I don't need to go viral by saying something that isn't true. I'm going to continue to do what I do. I've done this for 3 years. I make a living off of it. My wife makes a living off of it. We do really fairly well. We're hoping to expand even more so we can start helping other people to come into the circle and expand on visitors and guests. But I'm not going to do that by selling myself out and just peddling BS because people want to hear it. I won't do it. And you don't have to like me for it. In fact, that's not even a part of the equation. But damn it, you should at least listen to it, because I'm not going to lie to you. And there are so many people who are willing to. There are so many channels that are willing just to continue to BS you and say that Trump is perfect and Biden is perfect, or Biden is the devil or Trump's the devil. And nobody will tell you that both of those things are a little bit true and a little bit false. And I can't stand it. You know, Eric Erickson is somebody who I really admire, and he is now just anti-Trump on everything. And I'm like, dude, you're just as bad as the left. I look at, you know, there's just really nobody who can just say, I'm going to look at each individual situation uniquely and differently, because I owe that to myself to find out the truth. But there's one thing that I've learned in the last 3 years is that there is no consistency. The only consistency in this game is the inconsistent nature of it. That is it. And that very seldom has it been open and cut, that one side's right and one side's wrong. There is always merit in both in some way or another. And it's our responsibility to find it so we can make a judgment and say, yeah, but this one just it has a little bit more merit than this one. And so I got to go here because I can do both. But there's so many people. Some person just said this today, I'm going to defriend you. And I said, why? And they said, well, 180 people on that list, you put Donald Trump on the list. I said, no, I didn't. That's not me who did that. Those are the court documents. And I went through and I searched every single name out of almost 3,000 pages. And I gave you every name that was mentioned on that list. And Donald Trump was mentioned 6 times. And it was mentioned in the third person 4 out of those 6 times. And none of it had to do with him being a sexual predator or being on the island. And because I put Donald Trump on a list, you want to remove me as a friend. First of all, we're not friends. Don't unfriend me has nothing to do with you unfriending me. Or has everything to do with you unfriending me. It doesn't say anything about you. Because we're not friends. If you follow me on social media, that's not a friendship. A friendship are 2 people who can exchange ideas, who have a mutual investment in each other, who want to see each other succeed through the good times and the bad. That's friendship. What we have isn't a friendship. What we have is a mutual occasional occurrence that as long as I support your delusion, you will consider me to remain in your space. That's not friendship. What you want is a yes man, and that's not me. Never will be me.
What a sick... My God. I think it's despicable, seriously. Not just for a president, for any person to say that. But to say it to the whole world listening. When I was overseas, anyway. Trump's assault on democracy isn't just part of his past. It's what he's promising for the future. He's being straightforward. He's not hiding the ball. His first rally for the 2024 campaign opened with a choir of January 6th insurrectionists singing from prison on a cell phone.
I want to make sure I say it again. Not one person who has been indicted, who has had a grand jury, who has had a summons, who has had a court sentence, who has received any type of sentencing for these has insurrection. Complete lie. Caller, where are you from?
Hey, New Jersey.
Who am I talking to?
Should I give my real name?
I don't know. Should you? I mean, sure.
Sure, Andy.
Okay, Andy, what do you want to talk about?
Anything Trump related and what a piece of despicable garbage he is.
Okay, great. So go ahead. So it's your dime, man. Go for it.
Oh wait, I'm on now?
Yeah, you've been on since you called.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we've spoken before.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. It's just amazing to me. Why are you guys? I'm just curious. You were playing the Biden speech from earlier today. I presume you were just ripping it apart.
I'm doing what I always do, and but I'm ripping it apart.
That's fine. I'm not a Biden supporter, but the Democrats at this point, if the Republican nomination is a bag of rocks, if the Republican nominee is Trump, the Democrats could nominate a bag of rocks, and I'll vote for the bag of rocks.
That's great. That's a binary choice, and you have that choice. But unfortunately, we don't get to make that choice today. We get to make that choice on November 3rd. And until then, I'm going to do what I always do, which is dissect what's in front of me and worry about that when I get to that day as my own personal vote. You want to share yours? I will simply do what I always do and keep mine to me.
As a lifelong Republican until 2016, I am utterly appalled that Christie is the only Republican that can actually say anything remotely truthful. DeSantis, a joke. Vivek, a joke. Nikki Haley, so sad. She's so absurd.
Let's address that. So you're right. Chris Christie is the only one who agrees with you. That's what you're trying to say. Not that he won't call out Trump, because the others have said something. It may not be adequate to you, but to say that they have never said anything negative about Trump, the only person really who that is true about is Vivek. Everyone else has done at least a little bit of that, but it's just not acceptable to you.
Well, you're right.
You want them to create a seppuku event and disembowel him in front of the country. That's what you're looking for.
How can you not? The guy is so dangerous, so despicable, so atrocious. Nikki Haley tap dancing around. Well, he was the right person at the right time, but chaos follows him. I mean, give me a break. Nikki Haley, like the things she said this week, I don't think for 1 second Nikki Haley is racist, okay? But the fact that she couldn't acknowledge that the Civil War was about slavery because, well, they all got to cater to that Trump base, and they don't want to upset anyone because they're Trump just base. Hoping that.
Wait a second. Which base? I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you because I usually allow people just to keep
going. Go ahead.
But you just said that every single Trump person's a racist, and I'm going to take umbrage with that. And you and I
they're not. They're not all.
Well, you're going to let me finish, and then you can backpedal all you want. You just said that every single Trump supporter supports slavery. And bro, I don't know what books you've read, but you've got some balls.
I apologize. I will backtrack. I didn't mean that all Trump supporters are racist.
Good.
But I mean, there Ask me if you agree with this statement. I've made this many times before to friends and family. Do I think all MAGA people are racist? Absolutely not. Do I think that all despicable racist people are MAGA? Pretty much.
Yeah, that's a great line that I've seen printed on bumper stickers, and and maybe even in a fortune cookie
Really?
or two.
I didn't come up with.
I know you didn't come up with it because it's all over Twitter.
No. I mean, I didn't come up with the bumper sticker.
Yeah, well, I'm aware because that's been around for quite a while. You'd be surprised at what I pick up with 3 years of living and eating and breathing this type of stuff day and night. For you to say that all Trump supporters who are MAGA supporters, you don't believe they're racist. That's a very strong statement. For you to then say that you believe all racists are MAGA supporters is probably, with absolute respect, because I don't want to disrespect you, and I'm not trying to. I would just say that in our interactions, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said. That was almost as dumb as you saying that all MAGA supporters support slavery and racism. Because why
do you think my comment is dumb?
Because you're assuming, because your comment in itself is racist. You're discounting the fact that there are black MAGA supporters, that there are Chinese and Jews and Mexicans and Hindus and every other type of nationality, and you are saying that those people are all racist simply because of an ideology of MAGA, and they don't take their own history, heritage, and own life experiences into account. So I think that's extremely ignorant. And the second thing you don't do is you don't openly admit that blacks, Latinos, the Jews, Palestinians, I don't give a shit, cannot be racist or ethnocentric also. So you are under the delusion, and it makes me question if you are a Republican, because you're falling into this woke ideology that only people on the planet who can be racist are white. So not only are you a racist for saying those two things, I've got a third one, that you're assuming that all MAGA supporters are white. So therefore that defines them as racism. I mean, racist. Dude, you sound like a smart guy.
No,
please tell me what fucking cup of Kool-Aid you drank to make you like this.
I don't think that all MAGA supporters are white. However, the large majority are. The portion of MAGA people that are white is a higher percentage than the white population in the U.S. I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm sure what I just said is accurate.
You just said that the voters for Donald Trump that are white are larger than the white Caucasian Hispanic demographic, which is actually considered by the census poll. Hispanics are included in white Latinos. Falls into about 61% white right now, with about a 9.5 to 10% additional, 71% overall for Hispanics. You're going to tell me that in a voting base outside, besides a complete anomaly in COVID, which usually is 110 million people vote every 4 years. One of the lowest, about 92 million in the last 50. Highest was about 110, 116. We saw an incredible increase because of mail-in ballots. We saw over 60 mail-in ballots go into 7 of the key swing states, unregistered. That was an anomaly. So let's just go ahead and I'll give you the difference. 125, we'll give you 130 million people vote every 4 years. In a population that has 332 million people in it, you believe that out of that 130 some odd million on average, let's just say 52% of them are Democrat, which actually holds true to the national average. 48% of those are actual Republicans. So now we have to go ahead and split that basically 50-50. So that 130 comes to 65 million per. So out of 65 million people, you believe that all of them voted for Trump and all of them are white, which isn't true because 12% were black. We had a Latino, about 7.5 to 8%. We can go on and on and on. So let's just go ahead and say that out of that 65, that 50 million were white. You believe that makes up the rest of the demographic of the entire United States of America of white people. That's your statement.
I got to apologize. You lost me slightly.
I lost you because you're actually talking when you're not thinking. So that's the way my thought process works, is that I already know the numbers, and for you to pretend that you do is insulting to me and more importantly, insulting to yourself. Let's not do that.
Let me ask
let's
you
not
this.
pretend
I don't
you
wanna
know
get
the
caught up
number.
on-
Let's not pretend you know the numbers because you don't. You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to get caught up on race, but let me ask you this.
Well, you certainly wanted to make
You know,
it a.
look, I'm
you
Jewish.
certainly wanted to make it the topic when we first started talking.
So I'm Jewish.
Okay, great.
And I've had people ask me, well, do you think Trump is anti-Semitic?
Yeah.
And I say, no, I don't think he is. However, Trump has completely normalized. If you hate Jews, no problem. You hate blacks, that's okay. The only thing he measures people or groups by is, do they vote for me?
How? Tell me how he's done it.
Tell me how
he's done it.
Do you remember when Trump was asked? Huh?
Tell me how he's done it. Give me specific examples. And when you say, "Do I
Do you remember
remember?"
when-
I promise you, I do.
Do you remember when Trump was asked about? He was interviewed by Savannah Guthrie.
Yes.
It's like an outdoor interview, and he was asked about QAnon.
Yep. Go ahead.
Do you remember his ridiculous response?
Tell everybody his ridiculous response.
Well, a normal person would say, "Yeah, I've heard of this QAnon thing. It's utterly bonkers. These people believe crazy, despicable things. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Hillary Clinton. But guess what? They're not killing babies and drinking their blood for adrenochrome.
Yeah,
You're not going
to get me to even remotely support that nonsensical bullshit, and I never have on my show. So you're preaching to the choir.
No, but what did Trump? But when asked the question, what was Trump?
Nobody.
I'll tell you what Trump's response was.
Did Guthrie specifically say, "Do you believe that people are drinking blood and adrenochrome, and there's a cabal that are eating children"? Did she ask that question?
No.
She said no. She didn't. So stop pretending that she did. What did she ask? Specifically state the quote, or I will.
I don't know the exact
then
quote.
you need to move on to your next. You need to move on to your next topic, brother.
It was something along the lines of, "What are your thoughts about QAnon?"
Yes, roughly. Well, I'll let you.
And
paraphrase.
his response was, "Well, I hear they're against pedophiles."
That's correct.
As opposed to groups that are for pedophiles.
Okay.
But I hear they're against pedophiles,
yeah.
And I hear they're for Trump.
Okay.
Like, he couldn't denounce them.
Okay.
He couldn't come out and say, "Yeah, these people are off their rocker."
Okay, so
he doesn't want to alienate anyone.
Let me ask you a series of questions. Hold on. If
the axe murderers of America were for Trump, he'd say, "Well, that's okay."
It's interesting. The Black Militant Groups of America, the NAACP, the Antifa and BLM segments of more of the activist and militant groups inside those organizations have all supported Barack Obama and Joe Biden. None of them have denounced them either. So I'm not saying whataboutism. You're right. You should be able to denounce white supremacy. And in fact, Donald Trump has done it 246 times. The problem is you don't listen to it. And I've already done that show. You can go watch the show if you want to. Go to YouTube. I'd appreciate it. And also give me a like, follow, share, and subscribe when you're there. But I've already done this where Donald Trump, it's specifically, we can go back into the segments that have been played that make him look racist. And even though he has denounced white supremacy countless occasions, the problem is you've never heard it. And the reason why you've never heard it is because you haven't bothered to listen. It doesn't mean that Donald Trump doesn't say stupid shit. It doesn't mean that he doesn't curtail to certain groups that should be denounced, because of course he does, because he wants those votes and he doesn't want to do that. But for you to sit here and say that it's not political capital on both sides to not piss off large demographics of people, you're playing coy. Second thing I want to say is, you say QAnon. Can you please tell me what QAnon is and where it originated from?
I have no idea where it originated from. Mm-hmm. I just know it's nuts. It's this whole thing, this evil cabal of Democrats and Hollywood elitists, and they're the whole pizza parlor, ping pong place in DC, and and now they're all into numbers. Well, if you take this number, multiply it by that number, and take your age and subtract it by your shoe size, it comes out to 45, and that's Trump.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like tarot cards and horoscopes. But I wonder who created those. So let me address it. You're not saying anything I haven't said. I think Qers are absolute dipshits. However, The original Q were a series of drops in information that had specifically the topic that you were talking about. And a lot of those things have come true. If you guys also, I'm not saying you guys, because you say you're a Republican. I don't buy that worth fucking 99 cents in a $1 shop, but you can pretend you are.
Okay.
Because you don't sound like a conservative. You didn't sound like conservative last time we talked. In fact, I don't think you've ever demonstrated one conservative principle since we've been talking, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there. The thing that I take issue with is that you know nothing about QAnon. You know nothing about the drops. You know nothing about how it started. And the Anons, it's not QAnon. There's the Q, which is actually the person who was doing the drops, or a series of people who were doing drops. And then the Anons were ultimately the followers. Now, this really doesn't matter. But the point is, this Androcrom and lizards and all this other bullshit is completely ridiculous. And also, I've done shows on At War Clandestine, who was a Qer, and talked about how the bioweapon labs in Ukraine started COVID and they were all hit by Putin. I've put those people to bed. So once again, I don't know why you take umbrage with me when I'm probably more in your court than not. But,
no, I'm not.
But hold on. Let me finish. Let me just finish my thought, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. The thing that I take issue with, more importantly, I don't even take issue with it because I don't even care, because I don't even know you, and you don't know me, and who cares, right? We don't know each other. But what bothers me is that you're sitting here and you're saying things that sound completely ridiculous and completely out of sorts. I agree with you. But you know what else was considered out of sorts is that there was a child sex trafficking ring that had a very large prominence inside Hollywood, inside the political elite, inside the CEOs of major corporations in the Fortune 500s, that there were wiretaps on Donald Trump, that he had FBI plants inside of his actual campaign headquarters, inside of his office. He had FISA warrants that were secret courts against him. He had a president, secretary of treasurer, IRS weaponized against him. FBI, CIA, NSA, all weaponized against him. And there was all of these things that you guys said was all crazy and all nuts and all batshit, but they're all true. And they all sounded crazy 4 years ago. So my point is this, do I believe that there is a secret cult that drinks the blood of children? Maybe somewhere. Is it as prominent as people think? Not even close. It's not even a scintilla. But is there child sex trafficking of an epic proportion? Yes. Are there 66,000 kids that are completely missing right now in the United States that people have no idea where they are, no idea where they went to? Yes. So there has to be at least questions, and at least somebody's asking. You may not like QAnon. They bother the shit out of me. I get that. But you also are only showing 2 to 3% of the overall believers to represent a very large demographic in people who support Donald Trump. And I think you're doing a disservice to the actual constituents who support him, don't believe in any of that shit. I think it's a convenient way for you to discredit Trump supporters, and I think it's wrong. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
I'll say this. I don't know what percentage Q people make up of MAGA. I agree. I don't think it's enormous, but it's anything above 1% is embarrassing. And if you look at J6, there was a lot of Q stuff on people's bodies or flags or whatever.
Sure there was. Well, out of the people who stormed the Capitol, out of the 3,500 people who were on the outside and the outskirts, the 150 that were in the stairwell, and the other 1,000 to 2,000 that were around the perimeter, yeah, there were a lot of Qers. There were a lot of people who went there to watch the ambulance chase and the ambulance crash, for sure.
Yeah, I get it. The Q people are certainly extreme, and if anyone was going to storm the Capitol and do violence, it was those people. I get it. But yeah, I don't. I don't know. We're jumping all over the map.
No,
No,
bro. I'm knocking down the things that you're saying that aren't accurate, so we can get to a mutual discord of accuracy. See, because this is what I do. This is why nobody comes on, because they can't argue logic and the truth. And you and I are getting to a place of truth where you're going to go ahead and say, there are a few things that Donald Trump did that make me just can't fucking stand him, and I will never negotiate that out of my body. And you and I will have a mutual accord and we'll say good to go. But what I can't have you do is sit here and lie on people who watch my show and my neighbors and my friends and say that we are the party of racism, because that is the biggest fallacy ever.
No, I don't. I didn't
lie.
say. I don't think MAGA is. I don't
Stop
think
calling
MAGA
us MAGA.
is the,
Why do you call everyone MAGA? Do you understand that in itself is MAGA is a philosophy, right? So, a philosophy of make America great again. This isn't the first time. Bill Clinton said it. Do you think he's a racist?
No, and I don't think saying make America great. Look,
and
MAGA
stop
is
making it sound
a label.
I know it's a fucking shitty label, bro.
How about you just call us Republicans?
Yeah. How about just call us Americans? How about Americans? How about just
no? You can't call it. You can't call it Republicans because the Republican Party that we knew.
I agree.
Pre-Trump is gone. It's been eviscerated.
It wasn't here to begin with. What are you talking about? What establishes a Republican versus a conservative? What's the difference between a conservative and a Republican?
Take Republicans as we knew pre-Trump, whether it was George Bush, George W. Bush, McCain, Romney,
neocon warmongers. That's what you're talking about because those aren't Republicans.
Yeah, that's how you guys call them. They're all rhinos.
Not you guys. Do me a favor. Stop lying to everybody. Stop tell everyone you're not a Republican and you never were. Just be honest. I'm not stupid, bro.
I'm not. I don't. How do I prove it to you? I generally voted Republican up until Trump.
Okay, so you voted for George Bush Jr. and Sr.
Yes.
You voted. You didn't vote for Bill Clinton.
No.
Okay. You didn't vote for Obama.
Nope.
Then why are you saying generally?
I voted for McCain, Romney.
Then why are you saying generally? Then you've 100% voted for Republican versus Donald Trump. That's why I question you, because you just said you generally vote for Republicans. Well, tell me the Democrat you voted for.
I don't think nationally, more at the local level in New Jersey, here and there.
That's a cop-out. We've all done that. Have you voted for a senator who's a Democrat?
I'm trying to think in the past.
The answer is no. You haven't.
I don't recall. Maybe it is no. I don't know.
And then state legislature, you probably maybe have voted for a Democrat or an independent at one point or another, but and you can't remember that because who cares? Okay, I would assume. So the point is what do you consider to be conservative? I'm serious. This is the conversation I want to have with you. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, we discussed this. We discussed this last time.
Right.
People that believe in small government, personal responsibility, personal liberty, Second Amendment, states' rights within reason, things of that ilk.
So please explain to me, out of all those things you mentioned, besides balancing the budget, besides Christian Judeo ethics, besides overall constitutional and civil liberties, besides those type, and also nationalism, not white nationalism, because that's a fucking stupid liberal thing, but a nationalist a view, not a globalist view. Please tell me how any Republican in the last 50 years has demonstrated any of those traits.
You feel that none of them have in the past 50 years?
Not one. Not one.
Comparative to Democrats, they certainly have.
Okay, but that's like saying, comparatively, my penis is smaller than a gorilla's.
So
two different things, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Listen, my point is this, is the Republican Party was lost a long time ago. The Republican Party has not been the Republican Party that we know. Honestly, the Republican Party, I don't know if it's ever truly in the 1900s met its true form of what it's supposed to be. Because if you want to look at extended leave and extended time off, if you want to look at welfare, you want to look at Social Security, you want to look at food stamps and WIC and things to that effect and government assistance, that was all created in 1940 by Republicans. Republicans already made this mistake. Republicans already tried to buy their constituents and go ahead and have big government, and they fled from it. And this is why the Democrats ultimately embraced it. Democrats have had that time, and so have Republicans. And we've made our lines in the sand, our lines of distinction, that Democrats will become big government and buy the constituents' votes, and Republicans know that it doesn't get anywhere, and all it does is keep people down. The number one focus for conservatives and Republicans should be the independent growth of small business and ultimately having a society that all boats rise at high tide. That is the simplest way I can discuss Republicans and conservatives. And when you look at Democrats and liberals, it comes down to this, is that all boats will rise at high tide as long as they're equal outcome. And that is something that Democrats have been chasing with the almighty dollar. Republicans have also done it through endless wars and not having a backbone on programs and allowing pork barrel politics to be muddled into all of their policies, all of their legislation for the last 40 years.
See, I don't buy this endless war stuff.
No.
I think we might have broached this last time we talked. I'm not sure. Okay. But take G.W. Bush and the second Iraq War.
Okay.
Clearly a colossal F-up, unmitigated F-up.
Did you serve?
However...
Did you serve?
Huh?
Did you serve?
No, I have not.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to get some insight. Go ahead. Did it interrupt?
Yeah, no. My father served, but I did not.
Fair enough.
I hated or still hate when people refer to George W. Bush as like a war criminal and Iraq and he did it for Halliburton and he did it to avenge his father and all this nonsense. Now again, going to Iraq was the wrong thing in hindsight, but at the time, it made sense. If I was G.W. Bush, I'm saying, okay, if I don't go into Iraq, we think Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. We're not positive. We even embellished some of the evidence we have, but we think he has it. If I don't go in and he does something, it's happening on my watch, and I can't live with that.
Why?
If we go in, why is
it happening in the United States? Why is the United States even considered to have to be the referees, the umpires, the world police? Why is it happen on our watch? Why are we responsible?
Because we're the richest country, and we didn't do it on our own. I mean, when we went in second time, granted, it was led by us.
The Republic of Congo. Yeah, the Republic of Congo, they really demonstrated a shit ton for us. Give me a break. We did do it by ourselves. It was us and it was the English.
The Republic of Congo. How about Germany? How about France? How about the rest of Western Europe?
Once again, you weren't there. So you're talking about Iraq 1.
I remember. I'm not referring to... But
you go. I want you to look.
Iraq was more of a coalition.
Yeah. This wasn't a coalition. This was holy fuck. We will give you money. Show up. So if you're going to sit here and tell me that the support for Iraq 2 is what we'll call it because that's what we referred it to, what had even a scintilla of the amount of support and coalition as Iraq 1, I am here to tell you that is an absolute farce. This was
fair enough.
Okay, good enough.
I'll take that. Fair enough. But like I said, well, what do you think? Why do you think Bush initiated and went into Iraq the second time? What reason?
I think he has the exact same presidency that Joe Biden has. If you want to look at any presidency that is reflective, Joe Biden, his presidency closer reflects Jimmy Carter as far as results with horrible mistakes. And we can go into that from a financial standpoint, economic standpoint, from a geopolitical standpoint, whatever. We can go into that. But if you want to look at his administration, Joe Biden's administration is absolutely, completely, 100% administered by replants from the Obama administration in his 8 years. Now, you can expect that because Joe Biden has relationships with these people, but a lot of these key positions were fulfilled not because Joe Biden approved these people. These people we're talking 5,300 spots a president has to fill. He had those filled in day 7 of his presidency because a lot of them were replants. The same thing happened with Bush. Trump struggled with it. Trump tried to, and then he finally just said, fuck it, I can't do it. And he allowed all of these establishment career DC corrupt deep state fuckers to come into his presidency and completely rip it apart for the first 2.5 years. And if you don't agree with that, then you and I will never see anything eye to eye. But
no, I agree with that. But you'd rather have what he's going to do this time around?
I don't know, but we can talk about.
You want?
Let me answer your question first, and then I can go to there. George Bush had all of his daddy's administration, almost 75% of his cabinet administration, including Dick Cheney as his vice president. George Bush had no fucking idea what he was doing. George Bush is a good human being. I have no problem with him. But for anyone to assume, Lee Harvey Oswald said it best, I'm just a patsy. And I believe George Bush was a mushroom. They fed him shit and kept him in the dark. And so I won't blame George Bush for a lot of things. There's a reason why he's never in the public spotlight. There's a reason why people actually have given him this honorary title as one of the most popular presidents outside of Obama, because the media and Americans know that he was used and chewed up and spit out. He's not a neocon. He's a putz. There's a big difference. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that we didn't go into Middle East the second time around to under the guise of Kurds, Sunnis, and Shiites being murdered and gassed, which he most assuredly did. Saddam Hussein was a bad fucking guy. And for anyone to sit here and say he wasn't and that we didn't benefit having him removed. Right. Okay.
Of course he was.
But we went there to establish and secure the one thing that a lot of people don't think and consider. Everyone says, oh, I want to go ahead and save a nickel on a gallon of gas. That's not why we went in there. We went in there because the silver certificate was gone, the gold certificate was gone, and our entire value system of the US dollar was based on oil, and specifically to establish ties in making Saudi Arabia the big cock on the block, to ensure that Bahrain and other major cities and United Arab Emirates and others who had a will and want for capitalistic ventures to partner with the United States to ensure that they left these barbaric fucking tendencies to lop off heads of gays, homosexuals, and anyone else so no business would build there. They recognized that they were being obsolete, that they're being left behind in technology and archaic in design. So by modernizing and westernizing like we have with every other major area, every other country in the world that hasn't resisted it, the Middle East was also finding willing participants, and it happened to be that Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, etc., Qatar were all willing to jump upon this bandwagon, and we went in there and we swatted the one who wasn't, which was causing all of the fucking problems in that area, even got into it with Iran, and we leveled that fucking place, and we made the Middle East relatively stable. Relatively stable. That's why we went in. Anyone that says anything different is fucking lying to you. It wasn't about Halliburton. It wasn't about personal profits.
You're kind of proving my point, and my point is, correct me if I'm wrong, the reasons you just gave were good reasons to do it.
Yeah, I'm not.
It wasn't
No. I didn't say that. A good reason doesn't make it a moral one. Okay, it was a bad reason to do it. It was a necessity. Just like dropping the bomb in Japan and Nagasaki and Bikini Island and Hiroshima. That wasn't necessarily a good thing. It was a bad thing. It was a terrible thing. It was a necessity at the time because the Japanese were too fucking stupid after the first drop to pull back because they didn't believe it. They didn't understand how much death and destruction it had until we showed them what we could do. So it's not a good thing, bro. It's a shitty war, as all wars, but it's a necessity to continue our way of existence.
I don't want to say wars are good. I don't want to say wars are a good thing, but again, we invaded Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, who we can agree was a pretty terrible, atrocious autocrat, dictator. He really had very few, if any, redeeming values. Nobody was going to shed a tear that Saddam was gone. As Colin Powell, I think, said, you break it, you buy it. And that was definitely right. I think, Rumsfeld and Cheney, I think they completely misunderstood the situation. They thought they were going to welcome us with rose petals and so on and so forth. They didn't understand. I don't know why they didn't, but they didn't understand that, like, Iraq, if you think about it, and again, I'm no expert on the Middle East, though I did go to school there for 6 months, and I was there during the first Gulf War when I went to school there.
Where did you go in the Middle East?
And that I studied for 6 months at Tel Aviv University.
Okay, so that would make, because I was gonna literally drop a 100-pound anvil on your head if you would have said Bahrain or you're a Jew. That's how we started out. And I'm like, dude, explain to me why a Jew goes to the Middle East for secondary education. I get it.
I went to Tel Aviv University. I got there, I think it was July 30th.
No, that's awesome.
And August 2nd, Iraq invaded Kuwait. The only Arab country I've been to is Egypt.
Okay, so let's do this real quick. I got to interrupt because we got to put a bottle on this thing. I will say this. Okay, I am not under the delusion that war isn't necessary. But if you think Rumsfeld and Cheney gave a rat's ass about roses and the embracing of the American people, you have a funny way of showing that when 300,000 died from these strikes. We showed absolutely no restraint in the bombing of Baghdad. And anyone that says we did, this is just as bad. Actually, it's worse than what Israel is doing in Palestine. And I don't condemn what they're doing in Palestine either. Palestine is a terrorist area. The Jews have every single right to protect themselves, and I know the atrocities that Hamas, that the PIJ, that Hezbollah have done in that area, in that territory, and the Syrian Guard, and I have no remorse for what the Jews have to do. I also
can I ask you? I got a question for you pertaining to Israel and Gaza.
Yeah.
So help me. Look, you're a sharp guy. Look, unlike 98% of the shows on Rumble, which are just completely Looney Tunes.
Yep.
I don't agree with your pro-Trump stance, but you're clearly a sharp guy that does not believe in crazy, insane things, which makes you an anomaly on Rumble. Because I spend too much time on Rumble, and it is scary the shit that people think and believe, and it's insane. And I could tie a lot of that back to Trump, but that's another discussion. So here's my discussion. Here's my question. And I've never heard this discussed in the media at all. And people generally agree that, okay, the IDF's goal, Israel's goal, destroy Hamas. They need to destroy Hamas. And I agree with that. They cannot live with Hamas. My question is, what does that mean? Short of either imprisoning or killing every male in Gaza between the ages of 18 and 50, how do you eliminate Hamas? They're not like, hi, I'm a card-carrying member of Hamas. Here's my ID card. Oh, look, I'm wearing the Hamas uniform. When they grab 25-year-old Ahmed in Gaza City, and Ahmed says, well, no, I'm not in Hamas. I own a shop. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Who the hell knows? Okay. So short of, like I said, short of imprisoning or killing every military-aged male in Gaza, how do you eliminate Hamas?
Sure.
I'm not against eliminating it. I just don't understand what that means.
Sure. I'll explain it to you. You draw lines of distinction, and how you do that is you make a statement. We are going to hold off from hitting these areas for 30 days. You will flee to the south while we level the northern parts of your country, and anyone who remains is a Hamas supporter. And that's it. Because when you decide that your country and your way of life, and Israel, anyone can call in, is a bastion of Western principles in the Middle East, and the only one. They accepted the LGBTQ community long before Gentiles. They were proponents of mixed marriages, which people say is not true. Now, people want to go to certain sects of written works that were done by two crazy fucking rabbis and say, well, the Talmud says that. You know what? Read the Old fucking Testament, okay? Because Christianity isn't exactly the most peaceful thing in the world. And Christians have been trying to keep their hands away from that for a long time. So we're not going to get into that debate. But Israel has been the bastion for all races, colors, and creed, including they have Shiites, they have Sunnis, they have Muslims in their hierarchy. They are extremely open and a fairly peaceful society outside of terrorism plaguing their country. Now, they have their faults. They have the Hasidics who are extremely repulsed by Christians. They have their beliefs. Every society has their underbellies. But in all, Israel is the most Western-based country in the Middle East, and that is very important for Western civilization, hands down, period. But for anyone to sit here and say that Hamas does not demonstrate a clear and present danger to Israel isn't paying attention. And for those that believe that the Palestinian people are innocent in this and had 75,000 civilians going in across the wire, working on work visas, receiving money, receiving Israel, embracing them and trying to change it generation at a time while they're teaching 3-year-olds to murder and decapitate Jews, when 91% of the adults in that country believe in the eradication of Jews. You have a terrorist state, and there is no choice. So the days of people saying, what about the children? I'm with you. Man, I still wake up with night terrors. I still wake up with night sweats. I get it. War is not for everybody. But the problem is, and one of the worst things that we have ever done in this society is televised war. And it started with Vietnam, and we lost our stomach for it, which lost us that war. And we have had a series of half measures ever since. And I will say this, Israel doesn't play in half measures. I predicted this would happen. I told everyone this would happen. And I said, if Israel is going to turn that whole fucking land into a pile of ash, and you know what? They should. That's my gut.
I agree, except that I do have moral and ethical concerns about what Israel is doing a bit, but I also will preface that by saying I'm not a military expert. I don't know what it takes to collapse a tunnel if there's a building above it. And, I don't know enough about military strategy and the weapons of modern war to give my opinion. Well, what do you mean they killed 200 people in that building? They could have done it with only killing half of them. I don't know.
No,
you're 1,000 times better versed in this stuff than I am for me to be giving my opinion.
Then let's change it into this. Let me give you a piece that you completely will comprehend. When you have cancer, do you want them dissecting the area alone, or are you willing to lose a spleen? Are you willing to lose an appendage to ensure that it never comes back again? Which one do you want to do? Do you want to take out just enough to have a non-invasive surgery, or do you want to ensure that that stuff never comes back again? Which one? I mean,
the latter.
Okay, then now. Assume that you've already removed those pieces in that way and dissected the malignancy 100 times. Now what's your choice? There isn't a choice. You have no other areas. You have no soft targets left. They have encroached upon the Jews hundreds of times and broken treaties and attacked and taken money and funding that was world given for terrorism. They took pipeline for fucking cable modems and water and copper and replaced the horrible fucking irrigation system in that country. And they used it to send rockets. Guess what? You're
preaching to the
good. Then I don't have any moral dilemma. I don't have any moral dilemma, neither should you, because you remember 1940 fucking Germany, and you have no right to have a moral dilemma as a Jew.
But here's my question. It's more of a pragmatic question or pragmatic concern. And that is that Israel is roughly, I think, 8 million people, something like that. And they're surrounded by 100 million Arabs, 200 million. I don't know.
More. Go ahead. Because you can say Arabs, but if you want to say Muslims, now we're in the fucking billions.
Right. So the world is shrinking, and technology is driving that. And my concern is that Israel was a feasible concept. It was more of a feasible concept 30 years ago, 40 years ago than today, and more so than 30 or 40 years from now. 30 years ago, the thought of the Arabs having rockets, even homemade ones, let alone ones built by Iran.
Yep. I'm listening. Sorry.
Hello?
No, I hit the wrong slide. My wife's like, turn it off, Biden, because people are throwing up. So you're back on full screen. Keep going. Keep talking.
No problem. So my point is that like 30 or 40 years ago, the gap in technology and weaponry between
Israel and their enemies, let's just say was 10 feet. Today, it's no longer 10 feet, it's 5 feet. And years from now, it's going to be 3 feet or 2 feet or 1 foot.
I don't understand this analogy. Can you help me? Just let's go simplistic. What does that mean? Are you talking about the reach, the over the
40
horizon
years
targeting?
ago.
40
years ago.
Hold on a second. Are you talking about the reach of the weaponry and the innovation? Is that a fight that would normally take and be spread over 20 miles can now be done over a few hundred yards? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure I understand.
That's part of it.
Okay.
That's part of it. Is that 40 years ago, the Israelis had modern weaponry for the time, and the Arabs were a bunch of guys with donkeys and spears. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but there was a huge gap in difference in their capabilities. That gap keeps narrowing over time.
I disagree vehemently with you. That's not
Tell me why. I hope you're right, but tell me why.
It's not a hope. Because in 1960, we were in Greece and we were supplying arms to Turkey and Afghanistan. We were funding and operating in the 1980s with the Mujahideen and with the Iranian clerics. We were involved in Saudi Arabia. We were funding Iraq. We were funding Libya. This is not true. 40 years ago, the Israeli army and military had the A-4 Skyhawk. They weren't even able to fly over water or fly at night. They had absolutely no mechanized infantry of a scale that could traverse through the desert, through the Sudan, through other territories due to a limitation of technology, quality of the air filters and carburetors. Horses and camels were more effective on the landscape that was very, very rocky, very tundra-esque, more closer to Mars than it was, Lawrence of Arabia with a sand parking lot. I disagree with you, and this is why nobody has ever taken Afghanistan. And the Turks tried it, the Russians tried it, the United States tried it, India tried it, England tried it. And the amount of technology doesn't matter in war fighting. And I'll tell you why. Because 10 grandmothers wielding broomsticks on a crevasse or a cavern that with an incline can hold off a battalion. And this has been true from stories of the 300 Spartans. You can talk about the Azaliites. You can talk about the Afghani fighters. You can even go back to the Hindus if you want to, or the Tibetans holding off Chinese infiltration, and the Mongolians. In no way, shape, or form has military advanced technology truly made an impact unless somebody fights in a postmodern or classic style. Let me give you an example. When the Persians and Darius were going up against Alexander the Great at the tender young age of 16 years old, there were a few things that Alexander did. Alexander did quite a few things, but the main message that they knew would work, which was using the battlefield and using the rivers that were going through the battlefield in between Persia, and using the plateaus to host thousands of archers, is he had three simple orders for his soldiers. The three were this. One was to make 10 arrows apiece. And every single person, while they were prepping, would make 10 arrows. And the next standing order was to learn how to sidestep march. Now, the phalanx and the 300 and the other type of Spartan warriors understood sidestep marching, but the general infantry didn't. And the reason why is they had very long board and sword type rigs. Long spears were not necessarily a part of their repertoire. That was used for the spearmen and the anti-cavalry type stuff. So he learned them how to sidestep march. So not just march forward, but split ranks and sidestep march. And then the third thing he did is he taught them how to shine their shields to a mirror type shine, using different types of animal fats and burning animal fats, and then buffing those out and making them mirror-like on black onyx type metal, carbonized metal. And that's one of the things that they did, is they had some of the hardest weapons and some of the strongest weapons in existence till this day. Stronger than most of the things you'll even see outside of Japanese samurais and et cetera. But I'm neither here nor there. So when they got to the battlefield, the whole point of this entire war that they were going to have was going to be two giant plateaus on the left and right side of the battlefield, and about a half of a mile in between. And he was outnumbered in about a 5-to-1 ratio. He had a very small amount of chariots. The phalanx were a very small group. The 300, obviously, the Spartans were a very small group. But one thing he did have a lot of was archers and overall infantry. And what he did is Darius was overconfident. By using the river, it narrowed the point of entry from the eastern and western flank, and they had to come up the middle. And when they did, they hid their overall bowmen on the top of these plateaus to lay down undercover, and were not seen by Darius's army. So when Darius sent 100,000 people up the middle, which was ultimately going to flatten, because there was no cavalry seen, there were no chariots seen, there were no phalanx, there were no other types of groups of long spearmen, they knew that they would just come in with their cavalry and steamroll, and no modern day military had ever been destroyed without had stood up against a cavalry. So they all came up the middle. And when they did, the bowmen on both of these plateaus, marked by the thousands, fired their volleys of arrows into that narrow field and literally took out 25, 30,000 in a period of less than a few hours. Just absolutely just taking a leg and a half out from Darius. And once that happened, and the infantry and the cavalry that was pushed forward first, he did send in his foot soldiers. And when he did, those troops sidestep marched. And when they sidestep marched and split the ranks, they saw the chariots. And the chariots came in and literally slaughtered and massacred most of the infantry that was remaining. At that point, Darius sent in his reserve of his cavalry as the infantry came back together. And what they did at the last possible moment was to bear down and show their shields. Unlike Braveheart, where they put their long spears into the game, they showed their shields at the last minute. And the one thing about Darius's charging war horses is that they would never stop for anything. It didn't matter, man, woman, or child. They would run them over, and they would do what most war horses did, kill them. But instead, the only time they would stop if they saw their own reflection. Not a reflection of who they were as in being scared of it, but seeing another war horse, knowing that that impact would obviously debilitate and kill them, and they were trained to stop at that point. And when they did it through the riders, and all of the spears that they had made and all the weaponry that they did would fly over the infantry, and they went ahead and just wiped out thousands of his overall cavalry. The point I bring up to you is that Alexander the Great never had superior warfighting capability when it came to numbers or armaments. What he did was he had strategy, and there is no better fighters than the Afghanis. They are some of the most seasoned war fighters in the world. We took them absolutely and underestimated them and the Taliban and ISIS fighters and Al-Qaeda until we had to change the type of war fighting that we did. And the way that we had to do that, and the one thing that Donald Trump did, was have an absolute gloves-off approach. And there was no quarter for troops. There was no, let's play games, let's bomb it. It was a door-to-door sweep and clear of the entire area, man, woman, and child who remained. And unfortunately, that is the only way you kill terrorists. So there's my entire story, and I hope it answers your question.
I appreciate all the info. I guess what I'm still getting at is 30 years ago, if you were in downtown Tel Aviv, there was zero chance of a rocket being launched in Tel Aviv. They just didn't have the capability.
Right. Short
of Saddam Hussein launching a Scud over or whatever, the Arabs didn't have that capability. At least the Palestinians didn't, the Jordanians, Israel's close neighbors.
30 years ago, they
obviously today.
Wait a second. Hamas wasn't even there 30 years ago. This was 17 years ago that they were voted into power by the Palestinian people. So to sit here and say they weren't doing that, well, they certainly would have done other things like invading small villages and taking hostages and raping people, or possibly doing a gasoline bomb.
Again, my point is that the gap between Israel and the Palestinians from a fighting and weaponry perspective is not as wide today as it was 30 or 40 years ago.
Okay. But if my grandmother had balls, she would be my grandfather. I don't understand. Who cares? It is now. This is what we have. What's the point? Is the point that we created this monster?
My point is, I'm concerned about Israel's long-term viability.
What?
That there's just so many of them.
Oh no.
And Israel's advantages in technology and weaponry.
No, their advantages in
is
nuclear.
getting narrowed.
No, they're not. Their advantage is a nuclear warhead. And they can deliver it to any country that decides to get froggy with them, and they will absolutely use it.
I got you, yes. But guess what? Soon enough, Iran's going to have that, and then they're going to give it to other nations.
Iran's not
like the
getting a
day's
nuke.
coming where everyone and their uncle is going to have a nuclear bomb.
Iran's not getting a nuke.
I hope you're right.
It's not hope.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with you.
You can't, because it's just dude, we could literally send Iran back to the Stone Age. If Iran builds a nuke, we will take out every single one of their oil reserves, and we will literally obliterate one of their islands. Iran stays on a leash. Why do you think they're not doing shit right now? They know for a fact that the United States can send them into a bankruptcy that they have never felt in their life. They will make them invaded by every Arab country in that area in one fucking strike, one sortie, and Iran is sent back to the Stone Age. I'm not worried about Iran's nuke. I'm not worried about the country that wants nuclear warheads. I'm worried about the country that wants one. And that's what we have to worry about, is them getting a hold of a garbage or a suitcase style nuke that's going to be released in New York City or whatever. Now, we have plenty of things that can stop that, and we've infiltrated nuclear fission material before. This isn't the first time. It's very difficult to get any nuclear material anywhere near the United States.
You're further proving my point to some degree, and that's that, look, if a rogue bunch of people that hated the United States 100 years ago, if they were in Asia somewhere or Europe, and it was this horrible group of 200, 300, 400 people that hated America and hated the West, and they wanted to destroy America, they couldn't. There's just no way to do it.
Sure there is.
100 years ago.
Sure there is.
Huh?
Sure there is.
100 years ago.
Sure there is.
100 years ago, what were 300 or 400 people in another part of the world that wanted to destroy America? What could they possibly do?
It didn't take 300 or 400 people. It took a Japanese emperor and one admiral with a very lofty plan that decided to put fins on the back of torpedoes and hit our entire naval fleet from Westpac, which would ultimately sink the United States, since it was already committed over in Germany, to cripple the United States. Two people. How many people were? Well, hold on a second. You said 300 or 400 people. You had 326 planes in Pearl Harbor. That's 326. It crippled the United States. And since we're dealing in hypotheticals, because you're doing the if game, if those aircraft carriers were in port that day, we would all be speaking fucking Japanese and sauerkraut. That's the truth.
But you're talking about, you're going, well, 2 or 3 people. No, it wasn't 2 or 3 people. It was 2 or 3 leaders and the whole country behind them.
I said, no, the whole country wasn't behind. In fact, most Japanese people didn't want us to attack the United States, and most of the people were absolutely getting beheaded because they were revolting. It was 2 or 3 people who made the ultimate decision to do so and carry it out. It started with a thought from one admiral, Yamamoto, and the Japanese emperor. And then the military unit industrial complex of Japan decided to go ahead and put their full force behind it. But when you're talking about the actual attack, you're talking 326 planes caused it. You asked me a question. Please tell me 300 to 400 people who could cripple a nation 100 years ago. Not quite 100 years ago, but close enough enough. And then if you want to, we can talk about the Nazis and how it absolutely almost crippled the United States to fight a 2-front war. We can go back to a stock market collapse that almost broke the United States back. There's a lot of things that can happen. 9/11 proved you had 21 hijackers who had the ability to cripple the United States economy. That if it wasn't for our reaction to shift the public focus, it could have hurt the United States in the long run. We're talking for decades. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not sitting here and saying that the technology of yesteryear didn't happen, but it's a false equivalency, because you're assuming that the superior technology of Israel was advanced over the region. Egypt had a strong military. Saudi Arabia had a strong military. Iran had a strong military. If you think that Israel was the only one with technology, you're absolutely wrong, because Iran has the strongest integrated air defense system in the entire world. They're number one in the entire world. In fact, they are probably one of the most defensive countries. If we are going to go into any country, Iran will have the most casualties easily, hands down, because of their IAD system. We could do this all day, man. I love our conversations. I appreciate them. I don't dislike you. I think that you need to stop starting conversations with "fuck Trump" because it just makes you a myopic thinker. You're much better than that.
I still, and again, I'm sure you don't have the time for it, but the danger that guy represents.
What danger? What danger? Give me the danger. You still haven't answered the question. What danger?
What danger?
Yes.
He's going to be using, for example, Schedule F. He's going to decimate the federal government.
Give me an example.
The federal government is. Are you familiar with Schedule F?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it may be something else that I know outside of Schedule.
You surprised me because I don't know if you remember, but last time I was shocked when I brought up Bedminster and you said, "What's that?"
Well, first of all, first of all, that's a golf course, and you were trying to be funny.
No, I wasn't. No, Bedminster's a town, and that's where Trump spends roughly half the year.
Okay. You're going to want to go ahead and compare overall vacation time from Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
No. Last time we spoke,
I want to shock the shit out of you. I don't know everything, and I'm not afraid to say it. You have pretended,
but you know a lot.
You have falsely pretended that you know things that you know nothing about. At least I don't do that. I just tell you I don't know, and you get a hard on over that, and that's great. I'm going to warn you. There's plenty of things. If you want to talk about male milking and fucking lactation, I'm going to shock you because I don't know anything about that. I don't know what Schedule F is, but I may know in some other way or some other form of what you're talking about. So enlighten me, educate me, teach me.
So Schedule F is something that Trump put in place towards the end of his term, an executive order that basically gives the president the ability to, you know how like the top people in the federal government serve at the president's leisure or whatever the saying is, but the rest of the rank and file in the federal government, the president can't just go, "I'm firing 3,000 people in the DOJ. The Department of Education, I want these 1,500 people gone." The president can't do that. Schedule F will allow the president, in this case Trump, to do that. He enacted Schedule F in his last term. When Biden came into the presidency, he turned it off or negated it or whatever the saying is. But without a doubt, Trump will bring that back. And he and Bannon and these other, people of that ilk have said that they're going to use Schedule F to decimate the government. And they're going to bring people in. I'm sure you've heard of Project 2025.
Yep.
Okay. Part of Project 2025 is like Trump wants to have loyalty tests for federal employees. Not really loyalty to the country or the Constitution, loyalty to Donnie.
Oh, come on. Come
he's not going to make the same mistake he made last time. He's not going to have...
Dude, seriously. There is no litmus test.
He's not going to have in his administration...
There's no litmus test for loyalty to Donald Trump. Give me a fucking break. Come on, man.
Right now there's not, but if he's back in power...
Okay, first of all, explain to me this. How is it any different when the United States government and the incumbent president fires 5,300 and some odd people the moment that he takes office, and they all have to submit impose their letters of resignation and are all rehired under the new administration? Please explain to me how that's any different. This is extending that power outside of administrative assignments and non-elected positions to places that are non-elected positions, like the FBI, certain points of the DOJ, the IRS. These are people who are not elected officials, and they serve at the pleasure of the president. Please explain to me why that's a problem.
Trump has already shown that he demands complete loyalty from people, and that's all that matters to him. And that if you disagree with him and you're not a yes man, look at what happened with the 2020 election.
What
Everyone
happened?
around
What happened
Trump.
with the 2020 election? What happened?
He lost. He lost.
Yes.
And whether it was Chris Krebs, do you know who Chris Krebs is?
Yes, I know who Chris. Just get to your point, bro. You don't need to keep asking me who
Because
I know and who I don't.
I talked to a Rumble host a week ago.
I am pretty fucking educated on the 2020 election. So just ask your question.
So my point is that everyone, not everyone, but a large portion of the people around Trump told him, and under oath they testified, and they told him he lost. Biden won. They don't like it, but Biden won.
There was a group,
Trump.
Hold on. There was a group in his administration that absolutely told him he lost, and there was also a group of people who told him that he won. There was also a group of people that told him, hold on.
And
wait, you're underrepresenting the truth, and that's not what you're going to get to do on my show. He also had a group of people that told him that he had the ability to contest. The reason why is because he sought counsel with the White House lawyers, and there is a very large group of lawyers that all said multiple things. It wasn't just everyone saying he lost. So let's be honest, okay?
The more credible people.
Oh no.
Krebs, Barr, Cipollone, Bill Stepien,
Barr. It's okay.
Yeah, Barr. You know, the one that whitewashed the Mueller report to make it not look as bad for Trump.
So what you're accusing Barr of manipulating a report that he had absolutely nothing to do with and altered Mueller's statements out of what? Blackmail? Was it bribery, or did he just do it on a Commodore 64 and decided to change some things? Please explain to me what chain of evidence you have that Barr altered the Mueller report. Because the last time I read it, and when I did read it, not one vote was changed. Those were his words. Not one vote. We cannot prove that one vote was altered by any type of Russian interference. And by the way, every single election in the United States history has been interfered with some foreign government, if not all. We do it too on a world scale. So can we stop fucking pretending that people don't interfere in elections? Nothing was changed. The disinformation that took place was a complete bullshit. And I'm not even going to sit here and quantify that. You're saying that
the Mueller report compared to Barr's 4 or 5 page condensed summary.
I don't care what the condensed summary
That's 4 or 5
That's
page
not what was
condensed
released
summary.
That's not what was released in the media. Barr, listen, he is the Attorney General of the United States. He is responsible for reporting to the Senate and the oversight committees. And if you expect him to go ahead page by page to go over a report that was filed by another investigator and be able to speak on every single facet of that in a completely intelligent manner, I think your expectations are lofty. I don't care about a summary because that can be done by anybody. I want to talk about the Mueller report. Have you read it page for page? No. So just tell me, how many votes were changed? How many votes during Russian collusion, how many votes were actually changed in favor of Donald Trump or changed or altered for Hillary Clinton based upon any of the major interference that we said on social media, whether it be Facebook or ad buys or any of the other type of disinformation that was put out by Russia? Can you just tell me how many votes did Mueller say were changed?
You mean literally changed, or people's opinions were swayed from voting one way to another?
Absolutely. Please tell me. Just answer that question.
Well,
a lot. You think
the Russian troll farms?
Yeah. I know what they are. So I know
they clearly
You
pumped
think
a lot of misinformation into social media.
So you think a lot of 2016, the reason why Hillary Clinton lost by 98,000 votes, which is really what it came down to in the Electoral College, even though she had a far greater popular vote, but that's not how we vote for president. But you think that Russia had an impact, that it swayed people. Is that fair? And that defines a stolen election or election interference in 2016.
No, I'm not saying to the.
Oh, then what are you saying?
I don't know to what degree. I'm not sure what degree it helped Trump, but it clearly helped Trump.
Okay, so fair enough.
I'm not saying Trump was not the legit winner.
Oh, okay, so what are you saying?
Well, we're getting back to the 2020 election.
No, we're not. We're talking about 2016. You brought it up. You are not.
Okay,
Tell me.
I'm bringing up.
What are you saying about 2016 and the Mueller report? What happened?
The Mueller report. My understanding
from the things I've heard, and again, I'll acknowledge I have never read one paragraph of the Mueller report. My understanding is while it does not prove collusion, it does not totally exonerate me, as Trump would say. It's somewhere in between.
And what are you basing that off of? What are you basing that off of?
Based on the people, shows, and media that I listen to.
Well, who do you listen to? Then what are they saying? See, you can't...
You know what I listen to primarily? You know where I get a lot of my info? Just as an FYI, I'll put a plug in for them. I don't know if you've heard of these guys, or it's a website, it's a podcast, The Bulwark.
The Bulwark? W-A-R-K?
B-U-L, huh?
B-U-L-L-W-A-R-K?
W-A-R-K.
Yeah, okay.
TheBulwark.com.
Yeah.
It's basically a never Trump conservative website.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm
Charlie Sykes.
Yeah, I appreciate you plugging somebody else on my show. I don't have enough people for you to do that, honestly. I need all I can get.
Sorry.
So here's, I'm still wondering. Listen, I'm not gonna. Okay, I don't know what these other hosts do to you, but you don't get to come onto my show and make a statement and not go ahead and tell me what you mean. My wife has sat here for 2 hours and listened to us talk, and she is going to get the greatest sex she has had since last night. And I will tell you, brother, you're not answering my question. I don't give a fuck about Russian collusion from 2016 if you cannot tell me where the goalpost is. What impact did the Russian collusion happen? And what impact did that have on the 2016 election?
I cannot answer that objectively.
All right. So let me go ahead and help you. You believe that it may not have decided the election, but it severely influenced the election, where it's possible that out of those 96,000 votes and over those 4 decided swing states, which really decided the election for 2016, could have pushed that into Trump's corner and may have changed the results. It may have. It's possible. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, great. Then I don't ever want to hear from you.
But there's no way to quantify it. Therefore,
you know what?
Trump won.
You walked into that fucking trap, and you just basically have punji sticks through your ass, because now 2020 they suppressed the Hunter Biden fucking story, and 71% of the United States believes that if they would. Oh no, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to fucking mute you. Let me finish. 71% of the United States believes that if they would have heard anything about the Hunter Biden story, it would have possibly changed their vote in 2020. So if you're going to sit here and play those fucking semantic games with me, that misinformation or holding stories doesn't take place in every single election, then you don't get to sit here and insult Donald Trump about 2020 and a possible steal for fucking 2020 because you just admitted it. New York Times
suppressed the Hunter Biden report
New York
like
Times.
12 hours.
Facebook. Bullshit. I was banned 3 fucking times. I was fucking banned for a year. No, bro, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong, and you're walking into a fucking hornet's nest. You can ask my wife. I was banned from monetizing for a year because I went ahead and put the report up. Do you know how many newspapers were actually shut down for this? Do you know how many stories were suppressed across not just Facebook? It was all social media. There was a complete media blackout on this. The Hunter Biden laptop story during that election period of 47 days prior to the election was brought up by Fox News over 1,370 times. Do you want to know how much combined MSNBC, CBS, fucking every other media station talked about it?
Probably 2.
6. So don't get here and don't sit here and fucking tell me that you just said it's possible that 2016 may have been sweat on a coulda, shoulda, woulda, and you have definite empirical evidence and data from the voters of the United States of America that said it could have or would have altered their vote. This is what bothers me about liberals and fucking conservatives. You guys are so myopic. You don't see the forest of the trees. You can't possibly understand that you are the same fucking bird.
We're the uniparty.
You're the fucking uniparty, bro. You're the one shilling for the left right now, not me. I don't shill for either party.
I
hate them.
We're all over the place.
No, we're not. No.
Here's one last prediction for you. If if Trump gets back into office, okay, this is my prediction. If Trump gets back into office, which is an if, he certainly has, a very good chance of doing so.
He sure does.
But it's not a given.
And he
right.
No,
but
no,
it's
wait,
given.
wait,
It's
time
not
out.
a slam
He has no electoral path to the victory. There is no, listen, 2018, 2020, 2022, Republicans lost votes in all of the key swing states. He has not gained ground in Wisconsin. He has not gained ground in Michigan. He has not gained ground in Pennsylvania. He has not garnered Georgia. He does not have Arizona. He does not have Nevada, and he's lost more in Colorado.
So you think Biden, as of now, Biden's going to win?
No. Because because what I'm saying is the national polls are not indicative of an election. You look at the state polls and it's very, very close. Honestly, if he picks Nikki Haley, which you don't like her, I don't fucking care. He needs a woman on the ticket, and it can't be Noem because she had her affair in the last year and a half, and Nikki supposedly only has her affidavit of affair from 10 years ago that nobody's proved. Nikki Haley may be all the things you say, but the conservative Christians and the female vote want a female like Nikki Haley on the ticket. And if Trump puts her on the ticket, your fucking wish is going to come true because he is going to kick the living shit out of Biden if he does it. And I've been saying that for 3 years.
I don't know because
don't care.
You hear a lot of people on the right say if he brings in Nikki Haley,
who are they going to vote for? Who are they going to vote for? RFK? Really? Come on.
They're not going to vote.
Okay. Trump supporters will come to line.
But anyway,
he will sell it. He will sell it. He'll sell it. Carrie Lake will support Nikki fucking Haley.
My prediction is that if Trump gets reelected, that 6 months or so into his presidency, a lot of Trump supporters are going to be like, wait a sec. I didn't think he'd actually do this.
No, they're not.
I didn't think he'd actually do that.
You guys said this in 2016.
They're going to be like,
he did it. You guys said this in 2016. He fucking deregulated 843 executive orders from Obama. He stimulated our economy. We had world fucking peace. We were in no open conflicts. We had more positive to the north on all trades in the United States. Every single demographic had seen a pay raise. We had the fucking lowest unemployment rate. He got nailed by COVID and he made some horrible fucking decisions. The guy got horrible.
Well, that I agree with you. If it weren't for COVID, he would have won the election hands down.
Yeah, I know. So don't sit here and tell me that he's a fucking dictator.
So do you think what Carrie Lake said is correct? That
I think Carrie Lake's a
COVID
fucking.
was created by the Democrats.
I think Carrie Lake's
to beat Trump.
I think Carrie Lake's a fucking idiot.
Okay, good. We agree.
But you know what?
Does it bother you that,
hold on a second.
Does it bother you that most
hold on a second. You asked me a question. Let me answer, bro. I think Carrie Lake is an idiot because that woman could have been a senator in a heartbeat. She had vice presidency locked up. She had the pulse, and she went ahead and disputed a fucking governorship in Arizona that nobody cares about. Honestly, I think Carrie Lake could have walked away. And instead, she has no evidence. I called her fucking race 3 weeks before anyone else. I told when Charlie Kirk was sitting there saying, "Oh, there's 800,000 votes left," I was like, "This is no fucking way." Every one of my viewers knows I called the 2020 race in 2022 perfect. Every single seat, every single race. I think Carrie Lake was an idiot because now she's ruined her chance on the national stage. I don't believe she's a viable vice president.
How do you feel about? Look, I despise Carrie Lake. So let me ask you.
I don't despise her.
So how do you feel about Carrie Lake running around saying 1 million times, "I'm the real governor of Arizona"?
I don't like it. I don't like it. Also, I don't like Trump saying there was a stolen election because I don't believe there was a stolen election. I will tell you what I do believe. If you want to go ahead and sit here and say that the Democrats did not take advantage of COVID to leverage political capital against Donald Trump, then you're just naive. And you know damn well
that they did.
Okay, great. So that's number one. And number two, if you believe that the Democrats did not, in every way, shape, or form, use circuit and federal court judges to manipulate the way our elections are run on the state level during COVID under declaration of emergency powers, you're lying. Because I will drop kick anyone to the moon that the election wasn't stolen, but I will tell you how the Democrats did it, and they did it through legal means by manipulating judges instead of using state legislatures to change state law. That is why it is an 2020 was an unconstitutional election. The only problem is you can't prove that because there's no precedent. So the Supreme Court has to fucking rule on it that you cannot change the state's voting rights and the state's constitution under declarative emergency powers through judges. It has to be done through legislation, but nobody's doing that. Your hair looks beautiful. Talking to my girl. Talking to my daughter. You look gorgeous. Go ahead.
So being that I hear what you're saying about the 2020 election. You don't believe it was Italian satellites. You don't believe it was the ghost of Hugo Chavez.
No, dude. Bro. Come on, dude.
Do you believe that Pence was a traitor and Pence could have thrown out the results in certain states?
No, because the Constitution doesn't empower that. He is simply
right. No, I agree.
He's simply a centerpiece.
I
for
agree.
That.
It's a ceremonial. Rubber stamp.
If you don't let me talk, I can't fucking answer. Listen, you're not the host of the show. The only person who gets to steamroll people with a series of questions and doesn't expect an answer is me to you, not the other way around. You want to pay my fucking broadband, you want to pay for my get up, you can come here and you can stroke me off all day long. Otherwise, you're going to let me fucking answer. Okay? I've let you answer. I don't think Mike Pence is a traitor. I think Mike Pence is exactly what I said he was. He will only go with the way the wind blows. He is a zealot Christian conservative who believes in Bible above all else. If he was Catholic, he would be Opus Dei. I happen to think for 3.5 years, he was the most loyal vice president that any vice president has ever been. He did more than any other vice president has been. He ran the COVID task team. He was involved in every single negotiation between North Korea, between the Abraham Accords. He stood by, grabbed him by the pussy. He absolutely obliterated Tim fucking Kaine, and he obliterated Kamala Harris as well. Pence was a great vice president. What Pence did wrong was he aired his fucking laundry in the open public, and he shouldn't have. He should have bit his tongue, no matter what people said, no matter how much Trump rolled over on him. He serves on the pleasure of the president,
Trump almost got him killed.
No, he didn't. There was no. Please tell me the death threat on Mike Pence and what happened. Please tell me the person who perpetrated a fucking death threat on Mike Pence. Give me a break. He's the second most protected man in the United States.
There are Secret Service people under oath.
How many people do you know in the Secret Service? How many people do you know who work in the? I know 7.
I know 0.
I know 7.
Then I guess the J6 committee was making it up
when
they said that
the J6 committee was one of the biggest monkey operations ever, and it was a fucking political hack job. Please tell me how it wasn't. Do you think? Okay, brother, this is another conversation. It's Friday night at fucking 10:23. I've got a wife who wants to go eat yogurt and have sex in no particular order.
I would like to play video games
and play video games, brother. You can't sit here and agree with me and say, "Holy fuck, this guy 95% of the time is shit hot," and then when I say something you don't agree with, fucking have a meltdown. You think the January 6th committee wasn't a politically motivated committee? Are you fucking kidding me?
It absolutely was. There were no Democrat witnesses. It was only Republicans coming in and hammering Trump.
How many people were
wasn't fair?
How many people on that committee were true conservatives that were unbiased and completely open to hearing either side? You're going to tell me Cheney
on that committee?
Yes.
What? Let me ask you, Cheney and Kinzinger before J6. Can you tell me one non-conservative thing either of them ever did?
No, but voting along party lines and having a 93 respectively and a 91% voting record with Donald Trump isn't the same thing as once they decided to go ahead and assume that he did do the things that they said he did, to go ahead and have an absolute fucking, Spanish Inquisition against this guy. Kinzinger is one of the largest fucking douchebags on the planet, and so is Cheney. They have literally nothing but tried to destroy Trump for fucking the last 4 years. And they are absolutely the most Trump-filled haters out of anybody I have seen, even more than Schiff. Have you actually trolled Kinzinger's page? Have you looked at how biased he is?
They absolutely hate Trump. Like I hate Trump. Look at what he did on J6.
What did he do?
And what he didn't do on J6.
What did he do? No, what did he do? What did he do?
Well, he hung out and watched TV for 3 hours.
That's not what he did.
Oh, and during that 3 hours,
that's
he
not
sent
what he
out
did.
a tweet.
That's not what he did. He sent out 2 tweets. He sent out 2 tweets in one video. And they were both taken down by Twitter. They were both taken down by Twitter. Hey, they were both taken down. Hey, They were calling for fucking him to stop. They were calling for peace. He said, respect officers. He did a full video. They took both of them down and suspended his account. He did.
The 11th hour he did that.
11th hour? What? An hour and 20 minutes. You understand that his speech went into the actual storming of the Capitol? You know that they were simultaneously happening. They weren't mutually exclusive. You understand that it had begun. It had begun.
There was
even
over 3
there
hours.
were
over 3 hours from the time he returned to the White House to him doing anything.
So you're telling me he
Come
did
on,
it? You tell me he did it at 5 o'clock at night?
Proven.
You want to see the
pretty much
timestamps?
proven
You want to see the
that
Trump
he sat
timestamps?
around
No.
basking in it.
It hasn't been. Why do you say pretty much proven? That means it's not proven at all.
Because the J6 committee, I know, despite it's a Hollywood produced.
I watched it all.
Court,
I
blah,
didn't say.
blah, blah.
I didn't say. See, here's the problem with you, you fucker. And if you were in front of me, this is where I knock your dick in the dirt, because I've treated you with nothing but fucking respect, and you just lowered me to the lowest common denominator. You fuck.
How was that?
You just fucking compared me because I said it was Hollywood produced. That is a fucking conspiracy theory that your little Qers that you have a hard on for believe. It's not me. So you know what? If you're going to patronize me, just know, if you and I were in a bar, I would have knocked your fucking dick in the dirt. And you could say it was anti-Semitism.
Because I said that the J6
because you just basically called me some people who I detest. I don't align with those people. I don't fucking make decisions based upon hypotheticals.
I'm not calling you a QAnon.
You just did, because that is the verbiage that every leftist use, is that people have called it a Hollywood production on the ultra right. I don't do that. Don't malign me with those people. I haven't demonstrated one iota, one modicum of aligning with any of those people. That's the last time you disrespect me.
You didn't say it's Hollywood produced, but you think it was a joke. It was a sham.
I didn't. I said it was a politically fucking motivated stunt. And what powers does the Senate have to, in any way, shape, or form, invoke penalty on any sitting politician, elected representative, or any government official, or any citizen? Please tell me their powers to invoke any type of criminalization on them. Name it.
I have absolutely no clue.
That's because it doesn't exist.
Okay.
The Department of Justice is responsible for that. The Department of Justice had already said that there was no there. Wait, I'm not done. The Department of Justice had already said there was no there. The Department of Justice said that they were not going to move with any criminal proceedings against Donald Trump for culpability in J6, and they did it anyway. That means that it was an effort in futility, which means it was a political fucking stunt.
All I know is...
No. Address my comment. Address my comment.
Which is what? What, the DOJ?
If the DOJ is the only one that can actually go ahead and apply criminal charges and investigatory body against the executive branch, and they already said that they were not in any way, shape, or form had any motivations to convict, to hold any type of criminal proceedings against Trump or any charges against Trump, then that would mean that the Senate has no power to do so. In any way, shape, or form, the Senate Oversight Committee cannot hand out penalty. They can only recommend. Then why would they even do it?
I don't know.
To get it on record. All I know is get it on record and hang it over his fucking neck for the rest of his life. Why can't they? You know what? Fuck it. You're you guys. Why can't you guys focus on the shit he's actually done that he deserves to be held accountable for, which is completely denying COVID, which is putting the vaccine in place, doing lockdowns. The shit that he did that you can hold him accountable for is enough to not get him reelected.
Wait, here's what I don't understand. You acknowledge that Biden won the 2020 election. You don't like some of the things that were done, but I think it's one point you said they legally did.
I don't like. They fucking shredded the Constitution of the United States. I think every one of them should be in jail.
But you think that Trump really lost the election? I don't understand the contradiction there.
No, I believe it's an unconstitutional election. I believe that they should absolutely have voted again, and all unsolicited ballots should have been removed from the actual in circulation. They should have actually done a full and redone the election. And all state ballots that had signature verifications, I'm sorry, I've had pneumonia. And you're pissing me right the fuck off.
sorry, I'm bringing your pneumonia back.
No, you're just making my fucking throat itch because I'm yelling at you because you're pissing me off when you did that. I have not disrespected you one time in this entire conversation. That, I don't appreciate people who do that because when I invest in people and I start liking you and then you take a pot shot at me, I don't let people in.
I didn't take a pot shot at you. I'm not quite clear.
You know what? When you go back and listen to this, you'll fucking understand. Now listen to me.
I won't be, but okay.
Well, you should because you'll learn something because you don't know as much as you think you do. But that's fine. I don't consider I never took an interest in politics until Trump. I really didn't give a shit much about it. Well, you and Vivek have that in common.
And right. And I don't consider myself an expert on any of this stuff. However, compared to a lot of Americans, I'm a friggin' genius when it comes to this stuff because unfortunately a large portion of our population is really friggin' clueless on a lot of things going on both sides. Like I said, when I called the show last week and I had a similar discussion with the host about the 2020 election and I brought up Chris Krebs and he said, well, who's that? I said, wait, you're telling me you can say the election's stolen, but wait, Chris Krebs. I'm like, that was like Trump's cybersecurity election integrity guy that said, hey, Biden won the election, and then Trump canned him the next day, and you don't even know who that is? Like, how can you have opinions about the 2020 election when you don't even know who that player is in all this? That was not some little insignificant nobody. That was like a major
but see,
person.
Do you understand? Listen, I'm not here to do a personality fucking profile on you, but do you understand that when you know something and another person doesn't, it doesn't make them stupid? And you've tried that with me on several occasions, but
it doesn't make them stupid.
Let me finish.
But when they don't, but when someone doesn't know,
oh my God, dude, seriously, can you let me finish? I just let you go on. You've tried that with me a couple of times, and honestly, I can name 20 times. I can watch the video that you have been absolutely wrong, and I've never ridiculed or chastised you or assumed that I'm smarter than you. What you know and what your experiential learning is not indicative of somebody else's stupidity. That's the dumbest fucking thing ever. You don't have my experience. I don't have yours.
Was surprised at this,
oh my God!
When I was surprised that this guy didn't know who Chris Krebs was.
Okay. Anyway,
you know what you also don't know. I was surprised.
You know what you also don't know. I'm just going to interrupt you. 1:38 p.m. I told you, and you lied. Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. January 6, 2021, 1:38 p.m. The reason why you haven't seen it is because Jack Dorsey and those fucks closed his account. You're not going to sit here and win this conversation.
No, I've seen that tweet. I know he sent that out.
Yeah, and you said it was 3.5 hours.
Just like I know.
Sat down.
Just
3
like
hours.
I know
What time
said,
did the wait? What time was the first? Wait. What time was the first barrier encroached upon? What time was it?
I don't know.
Of course you don't fucking know because you didn't even watch the hearing. See, I watched all of it. And
so I watched it and took notes to memorize every single time.
No, you pretend you know everything else, and you haven't fucking been able to go ahead and recite anything.
I don't know everything else.
Well, you pretend you do.
I don't know every piece of
You pretend you do. You're sitting here and want to tell me about this hard-on that you have for this host that you actually showed him up that he didn't know one person and the head of cybersecurity for Donald Trump. I'm sorry, man. There's people who don't know everything. You got after me for Bedminster, for God's sake.
Okay, can I make an analogy for you?
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Let me make an analogy for you.
All right, make an analogy for me.
I own a soccer business, and I'm very into soccer. I could talk soccer all day.
That fucking doesn't surprise me at all.
Right, commie sport, whatever. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
No, football. Football. Fucking bunch of pussies in that. There's a reason why you like soccer, because you guys are the biggest fucking pussies in the world. Red card, yellow card. No, you guys are pansies. I'm sorry. You run around like a bunch of ballerinas, and you fucking hang a toenail, and you guys sit out for a month.
Right. We should all wear pads so we don't get hurt.
Yeah, well, you know what? No, you should meet me on the ice and let you and I go ahead and settle it on the ice. And I guarantee that would be an interesting one.
I have one quick question.
12 inches.
Okay, Ty Domi.
Not you, Andy.
Oh.
So, I have questions about the conversation, but no, this question's about soccer. Can you name one soccer player that in whatever championship, I don't watch soccer, so whatever championship game or whatever the championship is, played the entire game with a broken foot? Can you please name one?
And while you're and while you're thinking of that, hey, Liv.
Huh?
And while you're thinking of that, I already knew the answer, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. Here you go. Wait, Liv.
Okay.
Andy, the initial wave of protesters storms the outer police barrier around the Capitol was 1 p.m., 1:08 to be exact. Exactly at that time, tweeted out at 1:38, 30 minutes afterwards, and Trump was still in his speech. He posted that on Twitter. You guys are full of shit. I just completely dissolved your entire fucking case because he did tell them to stand down, and he did release it on his biggest platform where most of his people followed him. 46 million people followed him, and he told them on multiple times and a video to stand down and to be peaceful. Give me a fucking
Just like when
break.
he said protest peacefully and patriotically, that clearly outweighed the 5,000 inflammatory things he said.
Yeah, okay. I'm not saying.
He's
wait.
a clever guy.
I'm not saying that Donald Trump. I'm not saying that Donald Trump didn't say stupid shit and didn't absolutely insist in the narrative that the election was stolen. That's not what we talked about. But that is not against the law. Because you know what? Then 238 Democrats need to go to prison, over 2,000 with George Bush and Al Gore, and they also need to go from elections of 2016 all the way till 2022, including Stacey Abrams, Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Maxine fucking Waters, the Senate House Majority and Minority Leader. We can go on over and over because all of them called, including Barack Obama and Joe Biden, all said it was a stolen election in 2016 and 2000. Dude, give me a break. You are holding a double standard, and your hatred for Trump is blinding your logical assessment. Now answer my fucking wife's question.
Your question, I've never heard. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm not aware of a player playing an entire game with a broken foot. But maybe it has happened. I don't know.
Can you please tell me a time that a soccer player has taken a ball to the chest and their heart stopped while playing, and then they continued the game?
I was just going to say.
Well, Christian Eriksen in the European Championships a couple of years ago had that happen, but he did not continue. I mean, he was resuscitated.
It's because he's a pussy
on the field.
It's because he's a pussy. Chris Pronger.
Yeah, he should have just.
Yeah, Chris Pronger did. Chris Pronger finished the game. Listen,
Nichushkin played with two broken feet.
I've heard of Chris Pronger, but
he took.
I don't know. I haven't followed hockey
I'm just fucking around with you, dude. Soccer. If you want to like soccer and you like to wear women's underwear, that's your choice. All right. You don't follow soccer, but I follow. I take hockey. Okay. I know a little bit about hockey. I was going to say to you, I haven't followed the Rangers since Ron Duguay and Barry Beck. So you've been disappointed. So you've been disappointed for 2 decades. Got it. Go ahead.
Right, John Van Beesbrook, Richter.
Yeah.
So
who did Van Beesbrook play for first?
The Capitals. I don't know.
Yeah, Philadelphia Flyers. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's for argument's sake, say I'm a huge hockey guy. I love the Rangers. I love hockey. I watch a ton of games, blah, blah, blah. And then you brought up Wayne Gretzky to me. And I said, well, who's that? Wouldn't that fly in the face of what do you mean you follow hockey?
No, because the director of cybersecurity.
Don't know who Wayne Gretzky is? That's not
the director of cybersecurity is not Wayne Gretzky. That's like Donald Brashear.
When it comes to the 2020 election and debating,
there's names
about
I can
what
think of that are
happened
10
or what
times
didn't.
more important than him.
I'm not saying that Chris Krebs and his opinion is the be all end all, but it certainly is a significant factor.
Wayne Gretzky,
first of all,
Wayne Gretzky is Abraham Lincoln. Okay, and then there's everybody else. So for you to even say that anyone even remotely alive is even close to Gretzky's stature in U.S. politics, first of all, it means you don't know anything about U.S. politics. So,
all right, I know who Wayne Gretzky
you could
is,
say
but I never
Gordie
heard of
Howe.
Mario
You could
Lemieux.
say Gordie Howe. Okay. For you to sit here and say that George Washington, which would be Mario Lemieux, who did not have cancer and Hodgkin's, probably would have beat every single record that Gretzky had and was a better player from a two-way defensive standpoint, dude, you have no idea what you're walking into with hockey. This is the dumbest thing you could ever do. I know more. I have forgotten more about hockey than you possibly even know. So
what level?
I know more about hockey than most men.
I can barely skate. What level did you play at?
Military level. So I played with the United States Navy, and I did not play for the United States Navy team or Annapolis, but I did play with the United States Navy. I also played in the University of Wyoming and wasn't very good. And I'm not a great skater, but I can fight and I can shoot the puck. Those are two things that I can do. I'm not a fantastic player, and I played a ton of pickup games. And when I broke my back, I haven't played since. I also played rugby with the United States Navy.
University of Wyoming. How did you end up? Aren't you like a Virginia guy?
No, I went to criminal justice school in Torrington, Virginia, and I would play games with.
Where'd you grow up though? Where'd you go to high school?
Ventura, California. It was Ventura.
Oh wow, you're all over it. But you live in like Northern Virginia now, right?
I do live in Nova right now. So here's the rundown. I grew up in California. Moved to Colorado because my dad recruited for the Colorado Buffaloes, University of Colorado. I used to do roller hockey.
Oh, wow. We're in Colorado. I'm headed to Colorado in 2 weeks.
Inglewood,
most of my family.
Conifer, Evergreen. Where else did we live?
Lakewood.
Wait, my brother lives in Evergreen.
It's great.
Right off of Evergreen Parkway.
We've went off Evergreen Parkway 1,000 times. So understand, everyone's like hockey, Navy.
In fact, my niece is a freshman at Evergreen High School.
People in chat are talking. Playing for the United States Navy in hockey is not an option. You can play for Annapolis if you want to, which does have hockey. But every single base has Navy teams. They have rugby Navy teams. USS Blue Ridge had a rugby team. In Dam Neck, we had a hockey team. So to think that, military don't play hockey, but I played hockey in the Navy, and I played rugby in the Navy. So that's to answer your question. And then when I went to college, which was post from Navy, I played local games with universities and teams, and specifically University of Wyoming. I'm not a collegiate player. I was not NCAA. I played hockey. I have also played with beer leagues and pickup leagues. Am I an accomplished player? No. Can I hold my own on a pair of skates? Yes. But that's not the point. The point is I've been watching hockey for a better part of 42 years.
I don't think you have to play the game to understand
Yes,
it.
you do. Yeah, you do. So here's the rundown quickly. University of Colorado, my dad recruited for. We moved to Colorado. We were living in Conifer, Colorado at that time, and then moved to.
What do you mean he recruited for them? What program?
Football. My dad played for the University.
Okay.
My dad was a linebacker for the University
Who, under
of Colorado.
Bill McCarthy?
No. Oh, God, no. No, but I've met McCartney, not McCarthy. McCartney.
Whatever, I was close.
Well, it's a big deal. One was an actual person who believed that Russians were infiltrating the world and was also a great general, MacArthur. But it doesn't matter. McCartney, Bill McCartney, yes, I've met. I went to the football camp when I was a freshman. I know MJ Nelson, Eric
Salinesi,
I met Sal Anesi before he died of leukemia. I have a jersey of his. University. Do I have here? And I've got MJ Nelson's jersey. I've got Chad Johnson's jersey. Eric Bieniemy's jersey. I went to the Colorado football camp. Ron Vanderlinden and Rick George, the current AD director. My dad was friends with all of them. So he recruited for the University of Colorado. We moved there, and then I joined the United States Navy. 26 different countries. Came back, settled in Wyoming, went to school at the Eastern Wyoming College, and picked up summer courses in University of Wyoming, which is where I went ahead and picked up my hockey plan with them. From there, we moved to Colorado. Colorado, we moved to Arizona. Arizona, we moved to New Mexico. New Mexico, we moved to California.
We met in Wyoming, by the way.
Met in Wyoming, California, Texas, now Virginia, but I was here in Virginia for intelligence training. I was in San Diego. I've been all over the United States.
Wow. Yeah, no, you've hit a lot of the country, more so than me.
Cool. So,
my family's all from New Jersey, but now they're all in Colorado.
Colorado's a great place.
Evergreen.
Yeah.
Evergreen, Golden, and Arvada.
Yeah, we know Arvada. I used to
going snowboarding at Copper in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, at least you're not going to A Basin. A Basin sucks. 120th in Washington. I ran the Circuit City there. 84th in Sheridan, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I ran the Game Crazy there, and the godparents of our kids at one point lived in Thornton. So we know Colorado very well. We're diehard Avs fans, CU Buffs fans, Nuggets fans, and my wife knows hockey better than just about anybody. That woman will crush you. She's amazing.
What do you make of prime time?
I think prime time is a great recruiter and makes people believe past their athletic ability. I believe he's got the grades. He's got some blue chip athletes. I think in the next 2 to 3 years. If not next year, they have the potential to win the Big 12 just on sheer talent alone. A lot of seniors are leaving Texas. I think Big 12 might be theirs. They've got a lot of commitments that I think he's going to be able to do some great things. I don't think he's a particular fantastic coach. I believe he makes his players excel past their ability, and that's something that McCartney was able to do as well.
Between the portal, the teams changing conferences every 2 years.
I think college football completely is a shit show and sucks, and all of it needs to go away. Yes.
Yeah, it's always been like a minor league to the NFL, but the last few years, it's absurd.
It's complete garbage.
Why do they even pretend? Why not just say, look, we're just going to wear the uniform.
That's right.
None of our players go to class. They have nothing to do with this university, but we play our home games here and we wear the school colors. Like that would be more.
Deion did it right. Deion took advantage of the system, and they need to get rid of the portal. The current playoff system is complete dog shit. They need to lessen the overall regular season games. They need to go to 8. They need to be interconference. They need to stop doing cross rivalry. Save that for the playoffs. They need to go to a bracketed system for 6 weeks and do a full playoff system and get rid of the bowl ranking systems. Either divide the pool and have all of the monies go into all the schools at a level, and the national championship gets a higher percentage, whatever it would be. But this whole thing right now is ridiculous. I can't stand it.
My wife is a UCLA grad, and I kid her all the time. Like, I can't wait for that huge Big Ten rivalry, UCLA and Rutgers. Like, what is this world coming to?
Well, it's like Appalachian State plays Miami, and Miami sits down, and so they're like, okay, well, they're playing 4 unranked schools. They're coming out 4-0, and they're being ranked in the top 10 because they had a good seeding before the season started. So what do? They say, okay, well, we need to start doing the merit-based system based on points, total yardage, etc. Well, the only problem with that is that you have different offenses, and a running offense isn't going to be able to keep up with a passing offense. So you have the Big 12, which then becomes the Big 8. And it becomes obsolete because everyone goes to the PAC and the WAC and the SEC. Well, then they start going ahead and saying, okay, well, I'm going to leave because now there's too many fucking teams and we can't win because we have these super schools. Well, then they're like, okay, well, now we're going to expand these other conferences and pull from the fucking PAC and pull from the SEC. And then eventually they're going to go back to the stats and the meritocracy bullshit. They need to just do this.
Well,
do a fucking playoff system and lower the regular season. That's it. 8 games, go to a 6-week playoff.
Here's what's coming next, in my opinion. And I know you don't follow soccer, but are you familiar with what the soccer gods tried to do in Europe with the Super League about a year or two ago?
Tried to allow females to play intramurally with guys because no, I don't know.
So basically, every country, the top leagues in the world, England, Germany, Italy, France, basically a bunch of the top teams said, Manchester United said, you know what? We do really well and we make a ton of money playing in England. But you know how we can make more money if the 2 or 3 best teams from England no longer played in England and they played with the 2 or 3 best teams from Germany and the 2 or 3 best teams from Italy, and we'll make this Super League. Okay? I think one day Alabama is going to say, hey, you know what? We're sick of playing Vanderbilt and Kentucky. They're shit programs. We're better than that. Hey, Florida. Let's get together with Ohio State and Michigan. Let's call up, UCLA and Oregon.
It's what the Big Sky did. It's what the independent schools did, like Notre Dame. Notre Dame will never join a major league. Because of its TV contracts. I get it.
Schools they're so money driven and they only care about themselves. They will, Michigan and Ohio State will give a middle finger to Iowa and Minnesota and Northwestern in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I know.
Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, if they can make a few extra bucks and ditch the Big Ten, they'll do it in an instant. And I think that's where it's going to go eventually. You're going to get this Super League of like 12 mega football schools.
Andy, I gotta say something. I want to apologize to my wife, who's had to sit here for 2 hours and listen to.
I'll let you go.
No, it's not about that, Andy. It's that. Let me just be clear, and this isn't to be personal. I respect her 10 times more than you, and I have put her through hell to sit here and be kind to listen to 2 men just fucking go completely off on a tangent and not include her at all. So
to be honest, I've been ignoring most of it, and I've been telling jokes on Rumble with my crew. So
it's hot.
We're good.
So
I've actually decided that I'm going to get Snickers bars. And the next time there's a conversation that I'm not included, I'm just going to start eating my Snickers bars. We'll be good.
I think it's fine. You might want to get one for Andy. He's going to need one because he's hangry about Trump.
Well, I honestly, I had a couple of questions about the whole thing.
Good. I'm going to shut up. And then Andy, let's see. Olivia wants to say something. Thanks, honey. Go ahead.
All right. About what whole thing?
Well, how the conversation started. So I'm
sure.
I want a clarification because I thought at the very beginning of the conversation, did you say that most people who are racist are Trump supporters? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. My point is, if I went to a KKK meeting in the backwoods of Louisiana at someone's basement, and there's 20 KKK members, I'd bet my house that 19 of them are Trump supporters, if not all 20.
Okay. I'm going to go off a limb here and say I don't think Joe Biden is a Trump supporter. Just
no,
but he's a very big racist. There's a lot of racists out there that are not Trump supporters. You can't just lump racists and say that racists are Trump supporters.
Right. Yes, there's people in BLM and other left-leaning groups are racist, and yes, they're fine. Let me say most traditional white supremacist, anti-Semitic, we hate all minorities and foreigners, those type of groups. I would say the majority tend to be MAGA Trump type people.
That makes a lot of sense because that's probably true. But the way you said it and the way you make it sound is
when I say racial. Yes, when I say racist groups,
Andy,
right, I consider BML.
Hey, Andy, you can interrupt me all you want. You can't interrupt her. So shut the fuck up and let her finish.
Go ahead.
It sounds a lot better that you said it that way, but when you first said it, it was pretty much anyone who supports Trump is a racist, and anyone who doesn't support Trump is not. So when you talk about that, you may want to clarify it because you're going to say it one day to somebody that isn't going to be as calm and nice as Matthew was to you, and yeah, you're not going to like the end of that conversation. So I would just check that and fix that before you bring that into another conversation. So my next question is, you've said you're voted Republican for pretty much everything, right? Minus a couple of local elections and blah, blah, blah. So what did Trump do in the 15 months from when he came down the elevator and said, I'm running for president? What did he do in those 15 months for you to hate him so much that you won't vote for him and won't vote Republican and hate him? Because I don't know if he did anything in those 15 months.
Was it 2016 you're talking about?
Okay. It was because he said he hated him in 2016.
All right, that's a good question. Let him answer it.
Whether it was grab him by the you-know-what, whether it was I like soldiers who weren't captured.
He didn't say that.
McCain.
You have no proof of that. You have no proof of that.
Huh?
You have no proof of that. General Kelly made those statements, and every single person in attendance absolutely, with no equivocation, said that it was not true.
Wait. What he said about McCain, those were public comments.
No. That's not what he said. No, you're referring to what you're mixing and you're muddling your quotes. You're talking about how he said and made comments as far as French Foreign Legion and overseas, where he said, I don't want to celebrate cowards, that they died, so therefore they're
that was John Kelly, the losers and suckers comment.
And he didn't say it. And he didn't say losers and suckers. And it was absolutely
fine.
blown away.
No,
now,
I'm referring to I like people that are not captured.
Yep. He certainly said it.
Like when he was referring to John McCain.
Certainly said it. John McCain was a complete cocksucker to him. There's no doubt they didn't like each other. And I don't, you know what? It's a stupid comment to make. Stupid.
So is it just? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't like. I agree with Trump on the border situation. Okay, the border situation's a joke. We immigration needs to be like a water spigot that the government can turn off and on as needed. Okay, so I don't know if the best way to keep people out is with a wall, is with technology. That's above my pay grade. I'm not sure. But I agree, we just can't have open borders letting everyone and anyone come here.
Okay, great. So you don't disagree with him on that. What do you disagree with him on?
But wait, I disagree with him how he positioned it and talks about it. Rather than saying they're all rapists and drug runners and alcoholics, and
that's not what he said. That's not what he said.
I don't know what he didn't. He wasn't exactly flattering it. And he even said, "Well." And
he was talking about. First of all, he was talking about MS-13, and they are all rapists and drug dealers and everything else. And this is the question that preceded. Excuse me, it's the question that preceded his comment. So you can't sit here and he was talking about MS-13. The soundbite was selected to leave out the topic of who he was talking about. He wasn't talking about all illegals. He wasn't talking about all people who were coming. No, he was not. And that is absolutely a bullshit lie. And I will play the quote for you.
But he's made similar comments all the time.
No, he
So
hasn't.
I'm sorry.
I have a question then. So it sounds like you only dislike him because he says a couple of mean things and stupid things.
No.
And
no.
You're gonna let me finish. You're gonna let me finish now.
Sorry.
Because the two things you said that you don't like about him is the grab by the pussy comment and these other comments, right? You haven't said anything about his policies. So you're one of those people who doesn't like him because he wrote mean tweets and said dumb things. And being a man, I'm pretty sure you've said some dumb things in your life too, along with all men and
some
most
of them
women.
tonight.
So you can't hold it against somebody. I think Donald Trump's an asshole. Personally, he's a complete asshole. But you know what? I would rather have an asshole in office that actually has a good economy, that our gas was low, my groceries were low, like $150 a week lower than they are now, like everything. I would rather have an asshole in office than what we have now. And
if I can address the Sean Hannity talking point about mean tweet, you don't like mean tweets.
It's not
the fact that Trump is an asshole.
This woman has never watched Sean Hannity in her fucking life, not once.
Okay.
No, dude, you tried it with me. This is the problem. With respect, Andy, you're a man. Don't be a passive aggressive cunt. Okay, just don't do it. It's so unbecoming of who you are. You're a good human being. We disagree on some basic things, but dude, don't be a cunt. That is a cunt move. This woman has never watched Sean Hannity in her fucking life. She couldn't even tell you what he looks like. My wife doesn't watch Sean Hannity.
Okay, fine. I'm just bringing him up because, as far as I know, he kind of brought forward that whole saying of mean tweets. So you don't like him because his mean tweets. My retort to the whole mean tweets thing, whoever says it, is that I agree with that Trump is an asshole. However, on his list of bad characteristics, the fact that he's an asshole is like number 1,200.
Okay, but you can't name them.
There's so many other things.
Name them.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not naming anything.
I'll tell you. He, in my opinion, he undermines everything.
How?
He undermined the election. He undermined
So did
the
all
media.
the Democrats. In
he
2016, they've stolen election. Hillary Clinton never conceded the 2016
I know
election.
Hillary. I know Stacey Abrams. I've heard it all. Not like Trump. Okay, for every one time Hillary said it wasn't fair, it was stolen, Trump, whatever she said, for every one time she said it,
Trump has said it 10 million times. It's not even comparable.
So it's the quantity. So it's the quantity that bothers you, not the qualitative argument.
There's a difference between Hillary saying some stupid things for 3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days.
And Trump
She's been saying it fucking every day.
Times
bro,
it was rigged and stolen.
Bro, you're fucking killing me, man. You're killing me. Hillary Clinton still says it. She said it last week. She's blamed men. She's blamed the patriarch. She's blamed women. She blamed my wife and said the only wait. She said oh my God, dude, you're so fucking wrong. You know what? We need to bring you over. You need to be baptized in the waters of this because of Lank Minnetonka. Because bro, you are so off base on your hatred that there's plenty of reasons for you to hate him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the ones that you're bringing up are completely off base because what you're saying is it's okay for other people to do, just not when Trump does it.
If I can get back, because it's not right for anyone to do, but it would be like saying, if I swore once or twice in my life, but someone else swears every other word out of their mouth every day, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
Yes, they both swore, but one person, it's an anomaly. Another, it's a way of speaking.
Yeah, I
that's the difference.
You know what? I can understand. I can hold on. I can understand because you know what? That book that Trump wrote, "What Happened on the Election," you know that really.
That little pamphlet he put out a few days ago with no author on it?
You can't see the screen.
No, you can't see the screen. Or, you know, the other one that really throws me off is the one that she ghost wrote called Shattered. She's got 3 books on how the election was taken from her a few times. Bro, you are...
Maybe it's because she called everyone a basket of deplorables.
You are defending Hillary because she wrote she wrote 3 books on the election of how it was stolen from her a few times. This woman has not done an interview that hasn't started with why the election was taken from me. And she wished her own self a congratulatory presidential nomination.
If I can finish giving you reasons why I don't like Trump,
as long as it's true.
Tweets.
As long as it's true.
So, as I begun to say before, he undermines norms, institutions, regular things. It's interesting. I've seen books and seen reports about dictators and autocrats, and like, here are the 10 characteristics throughout time
of a narcissist.
Of autocrats.
Sure, give it to me.
Huh?
Of a narcissistic autocrat. Go ahead, tell me.
I'm not going to go into
I've
the
read
different
it too.
things.
I've read it too.
Like
no, tell me what the 10 are.
Box.
Tell me what the 10 are.
I don't undermining
Give
authority.
Me one.
Narcissism.
Okay, so let's take narcissism. Let's take narcissism. You're running for a singularity position that only 46 people have ever held throughout history.
Yes, you have to have a certain level of narcissism.
No,
I get
not
it.
A certain level. You have to be a narcissist to be a president of the United fucking States. Are you
Fine.
kidding me?
There's a difference between a certain. On a scale of 1 to 10 of narcissism, 10 being very narcissistic, Obama was an 11. Trump is 10,000. You can't even compare them.
That is the most unintelligible, completely random and just nonsensical bullshit I think I've heard on this show. Dude, how can you...
Sure.
A level of 1 to 10, Obama's an 11 and Trump's a 10,000. Please... Okay, narcissism doesn't have levels of identification. Narcissism is only about a singularity. The person is only about themselves. There's no high level or gauge of narcissism. You're either a narcissist or not. That's like saying, I'm only kind of a racist. I only kind of raped her. No, these are absolute levels of you either did or you didn't. You're a narcissist or you're not. You're a rapist or you're not. Brother, all presidents are narcissists. Give me the one that really flips your butt. Give me the one that makes an autocrat. Please tell me. Give me the one that really sells it for everybody.
Of why I think he has autocratic tendencies?
Yes.
The fact that when it comes to our allies, he's lukewarm, if not dismissive of them. But when it comes to our adversaries, and don't give me it's good to talk to our adversaries. I agree. It is good to talk to our adversaries. I don't know if sending love letters to Kim Jong-un is really the appropriate way to describe communications with him.
So you
or was that taken out of context?
Love letters?
It was taken out of context. He's playing for someone who pretends that my wife listens to Sean Hannity and that I espouse Q things. You sound an awful lot like Don fucking Lemon. So anyway, love letters to Kim Jong-un. Here.
Or Rachel Maddow.
You don't know who Don Lemon is? Can I ridicule for not knowing a person's name?
Don Lemon, I get it.
So, well, it was Don Lemon until he changed it to Don Lemon to be more grounded.
Okay, whatever.
Because he's a Hodgkin's
what do I give a shit
boy.
about Don Lemon?
Well, because you espouse his talking points like fucking like butter.
But no, explain to me. So Donald Trump has never really gloated that he exchanges love letters with Kim Jong-un.
It's not okay. First of all, what you're doing is
those are his words.
What you're using is you're trying to go ahead and create a symbolic statement that he is sending romantic inclinations to him because he's infatuated with him. So what you're doing is homophobic, number one. And you're trivializing people.
No, I don't think it's.
You are, yes, it
I
is.
think it's fine
yes,
to
it
talk
is.
to.
It's okay if I can't do anti-Semitic shit. You don't get to do homophobic shit, right? And if I don't get to do Protestant shit, you don't get to do whatever Baptist shit. Stop this.
How is?
Because you're.
I'm not making homophobic.
Okay, so a love letter. Let me give you an example of a love letter. I stare into your eyes upon the sunset of horizon as the fields aglow are ablaze with the bioluminescence of the evening. Reminds me of when I lay with you in passion upon the blanket in the starry sky as I slide my manly girth into your virgin thighs. That's what you're fucking telling me he wrote to Kim Jong-un. No, what he did was he said,
what he
did was, I am not going to hold past indiscretions against you if you do not hold them against me. Everyone gets a level playing field and we start from scratch. This created a situation where missile tests stopped in North Korea. It created a situation where we had 3 peace treaties in the Middle East that no other president has ever done before, and a 4th that was leading to Saudi Arabia until the Palestinians and the fucking Hamas terrorists decided to go ahead and strike Israel and blow them all to hell like they do every fucking time. This guy managed to go ahead and broker with Taliban, and for 1 year, not one American sister or brother of mine died. In 21 years, we didn't lose one fucking American because he went and brokered a deal with the Taliban, and you people call him a traitor. You're fucking...
Yeah, and then he let all the Taliban out of jail. He's going to have the Taliban come to Camp David.
Out of jail.
And he undermined the Afghan government.
He didn't undermine them. How did he undermine the Afghan government? Explain that to me. He empowered the Afghan government. Dude, you don't know shit about shit. You're fucking talking out of your ass. How did he undermine the Afghan government?
Who was the Secretary of State again? I can't think of his name.
Who put the Afghan government out of control by threatening them with quid pro quo and saying that if you do not absolutely put the Taliban in charge of exfil, if you do not close the Bagram air base, you will no longer receive air support or intelligence gathering systems from the United States, which was a phone call that Joe Biden had with the president of Afghanistan. He was actually surrendering positions. The Afghan regular military were surrendering positions and going into Tajikistan against Taliban a year before it happened. Generals briefed him and told Joe Biden that this was happening, and he lied to the American people as he went through and still in the dead of night exfilled Bagram Air Base, put Taliban in charge of security forces. Give me a fucking break. You've got the wrong president.
When Pompeo went to Qatar to negotiate and talk to the Taliban, was the Afghan government there?
No. Why would the Afghan government there? Why would they be there?
Because we've pumped zillions of dollars into them.
Zillions of dollars?
And given the choice between them running Afghanistan or the Taliban running Afghanistan, the Afghan government probably would have been, not that they were capable of doing it, but they would have been the better
choice.
Dude, Joe Biden,
And to
do
completely-
you understand how many billions of dollars in weaponry that he left? And if you're going to go ahead and bring up Syria, you don't know what you're talking about, because the slash and burn agriculture that's been alive since the Civil War happened, none of those weapon systems were viable in Syria.
To the 100th degree.
Then what the fuck are you talking about? Because there's only one person who brokered peace between the Afghan government and Taliban, and it wasn't Biden. He turned the country over to them after 21 years.
You know what we should do right now?
I literally want to fucking hold my nose and plug my ears and blow because of the amount of shit that has been collected in the last 2.5 hours of this conversation. You openly admit you know nothing about the military, and you sit here and want to talk about geopolitics, which I am an expert in, and I happen to be an expert in those areas. And you're sitting here and telling me and pissing on me and telling me it's raining. Everything you're saying is untrue. He brokered a treaty between the Taliban and the U.S. I don't give a fuck what happens to the Afghani government. I don't give a fuck what happens to anyone outside of our soldiers, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, Navy personnel and sailors, and Marines and Army personnel. I don't give a shit. He stopped brothers and sisters coming home without limbs, and they didn't die for a year. That's good enough for me. The Democrat Party has created more fucking war in this country than any other. And you're going to sit here and tell me that it's Republicans' faults. Give me a break.
To play devil's advocate, what are we going to do in 3 or 4 years when there's some kind of terrorist attack that emanates out of Afghanistan?
I don't know. We're going to retaliate?
Right. I mean, it's going to happen. I don't know why.
I don't know why you think it would originate from Afghanistan and not originate from the fucking ice swing from the balls of Iran, because that's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from pro-Hamas groups. It's going to come from the PIJ. It's going to come from Hezbollah. It's going to come from Al-Qaeda, which is showing resurgencies. It's not coulda.
It could very well, but
it's
I
not
wouldn't
could very well.
I wouldn't rule out Taliban-oriented or Al-Qaeda groups in Afghanistan.
Okay. Al-Qaeda is not originated.
I don't want to see Americans dying in Afghanistan, but wouldn't it have made sense to keep minimal numbers of troops there?
Don't close Bagram Air Base. Trump didn't close Bagram. Trump didn't pull the 5,000. He didn't run security. He didn't run the exfil from one of the largest terrorist targets in Afghanistan,
I'm wrong, but I don't know. I thought Trump wanted everyone and everything out of Afghanistan.
That's originally what he was asking and what he was saying to gain leverage against Afghanistan, but that's not his. That wasn't his call. Joe Biden handled the exfil. The only thing Donald Trump did was set the date, and he wanted U.S. troops off the ground. He wanted the forward operating bases closed. He didn't say anything about closing Bagram Air Base. That was Joe Biden's call. Bagram Air Base was a strategic.
I'm not saying Biden handled Afghanistan well. I'm just saying, as badly as Biden handled it, I'm not overwhelmed by Trump's ability.
I think
no offense, based on what everyone around Trump, whether it's John Bolton or Mattis or John Kelly,
Mad
or
Mattis
Mark
and John
Esper.
Bolton. John Bolton is the biggest fucking war hawk. He is a neocon of epic proportion.
I know all the deep staters. All the deep staters, all the rhinos, all the establishment. We just need to not take anything they say as valid.
Okay,
because they all say Trump is completely unfit to be in office, and when it comes to foreign affairs, he's like a moron. He knows nothing.
So tell me,
but that's okay.
So tell me
They're all deep
specifically
staters.
about his geopolitical stances that you didn't like. Tell me one. Tell me a policy that he had on the world stage that you did not agree with. Just tell me one.
Well, with Afghanistan, in terms of, again, emptying out the prisons and giving the Taliban back all those people.
Those were negotiated pre-Trump. You understand that certain relationships, you can't hold people indefinitely for an extended period of time when you've got the liberals crying like little fucking babies because we're waterboarding people who want to murder us. So if you want to blame anybody, go ahead and blame.
What do you think about when Russia invaded Ukraine and Trump said what he said?
He wasn't the president of the United States. Well, focus, goddammit. You're like my fucking child. You're like a kid. I want to just fucking give you a lollipop so you just shut up for a second. Focus. What foreign policy, geopolitical stance of Donald Trump between the years of 2016 and 2020 do you admonish? Name one.
What he pulled with Zelensky, what he was impeached for. I'm sure you'll agree with that.
What on a conversation that was not recorded, that was actually surmised by a person who listened to the conversation, and what he did was hold funding until he leveled all of the corruption that has been handling in Ukraine, from money laundering to child sex trafficking, and he held a foreign leader's feet to the flame and said, "You ain't getting shit until you give me A, B, C, and D," and that bothers
because
you.
We know how Trump is the great fighter of corruption all over the world.
No. I'm asking you that you have no recorded phone call. You have a transcript that was not taken verbatim at the time, that was based upon the memory of people listening. And you are telling me that the President of the United States, who is responsible to execute and enforce the laws, and also knows that monies have been handed out around the world with no accountability whatsoever, and goes to Ukraine and says, you are not following the stipulations that you're supposed to, based upon your government and the level of corruption that's happening there. I am not giving you shit until you do this. He's breaking the law. That's what you're saying.
Well,
so
my understanding is it was already approved by Congress.
I don't give a fuck.
And that Trump. Okay, fine. Well,
President has ultimate authority. President has ultimate authority to decide where appropriations go once it's approved by Senate and Congress. He has the authority to delay and hold that based upon foreign leaders and countries not fulfilling their promises to the United States of America. Why? Because Joe fucking Biden did it.
I was just going to say.
For $1 billion. And said, do it or else. And nobody's fucking impeaching him. Give me a break, you fucking hypocrite.
To that. And it's on video.
Because he had Shokin fired, I know.
It's not Shokin. He fucking
Nobody else wanted Shokin fired.
God damn it, dude. He blackmailed foreign officials on TV. He did it verbatim. You have it there on a fucking video. Trump is just a transcript that was never recorded. And it's just somebody saying it, and you're telling me that's enough to impeach him, but Biden doesn't deserve the exact same treatment. You're a fucking hypocrite, dude.
All right, I got something to say.
Yeah, okay.
Two things.
Can I defend myself?
Because it's indefensible. Because really you're a fucking hypocrite.
It really is.
You're not portraying it. You're not portraying it accurately.
Yeah. Please educate me. Educate me on what I said that was not true.
Shokin wasn't doing anything with corruption. I don't know what Shokin did, is my understanding.
You are so not a fucking Republican, dude. You are so not a Republican.
The EU.
Jesus Christ.
Why? Because I don't.
No, because you don't at all. No. Because you don't at all. There's nothing. Everything you disagree with. There's not one thing where you've been like, hey, you know what? The only thing is when Olivia read you the fucking riot act, and because she's a woman and stood up for herself, you fucking ran with your tail between your legs. But not one time have you said, you know what? That's really true. I didn't think about it that way. Slavery and racism. That's the only one, because it's indefensible. Dude, Donald Trump did the exact same thing that Joe Biden did. But the difference is that there is no recorded evidence. There's no fucking record of the conversation that wasn't a transcript based upon memory. Which means that not every single thing, but you know what? Donald Trump didn't even deny it. He said it was a perfect phone call. It was. It was a perfect phone call. Vindman. Oh my God.
Losers like Colonel Vindman, and I forget the diplomat's name, the woman who was the diplomat to Ukraine at the time. But they're all dipshits and morons.
I didn't
Trump
say that.
Knows best.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is I want equal distribution of the law. And if Donald Trump is going to be impeached for the phone call with Ukraine, that's fine. You can do that. But you better go ahead and do it for Joe Biden and not make excuses. I don't have a problem with holding Biden accountable and Trump at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive.
Because when Biden said what he did, it was, Biden wanted Shokin gone. The EU wanted Shokin gone.
I don't give a fuck. It's still blackmail. It's still blackmail.
Not because
he was going to investigate Burisma.
Blackmail.
It's because he wasn't doing shit.
Blackmail. It's blackmail. Do this. It's quid pro quo. Do this or else. Either you fire him or you're not getting the $1 billion. Oh, yeah? You don't believe me? Call Barack Obama. Call him and ask. That's quid pro quo. That's blackmail.
I'll take them out in a minute.
You should take them out now.
Huh?
What I was going to say is, well, two things. One is...
Wait.
You know, this is why I do this show, because I don't mind having a conversation like this. But man, this is so frustrating when somebody won't just admit that they're being a hypocrite. That at least we're going to find out who took the dogs out.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I got to walk the dogs. My wife has a broken ankle.
Well,
all right.
My wife.
Nice chatting with
Wait
you.
a second. How the fuck can you walk away when my wife hasn't had a day off in 6 days and you're going to bail? And that's fine. You just admit that you come back.
I gotta go.
Okay, you need to call again.
Yep.
So we can get our daughter and our son on here so you can lose to 2 more spears.
Andy,
perfect.
You're not a bad guy. You're not a bad guy.
Weekend.
Thanks, brother. Thank you for talking. Hey,
right,
at least
take
you have
care.
the balls to talk. Thanks, Andy.
Have a nice night.
All right.
I'm not going to, that was funny. I'm not going to say anything. Listen, he's not a bad guy. I just,
Oh my God.
I think,
Oh, wow.
I think he's not a bad guy.
No, he's
not.
just...
He's actually likable. I have no problem. I think he's completely fucking he hates Trump so much that he can't see how ingrained he actually is, because you know what? That's just every liberal.
It really,
and there's a lot of Republicans who do it too, because I'll sit here and say something good about Joe Biden and they're like, "Oh, you talked about it." It's like, but to sit here and say that Joe Biden is free, he's like, well, he was the vice president. It doesn't matter. It's blackmail.
It really is.
It's blackmail. You can't, and he did it with the Afghani president when he held air support and intelligence over. So he's sitting here, he's so upset about Ukraine. Well, Joe Biden did quid pro quo with the Afghani president. And if he did that, he should be impeached. He took confidential classified documents. He should be impeached. So if you're going to do it to Trump, and this is the problem, Livy, if this guy actually thinks that Joe Biden, the day that he fucking steps out of office, that he is not literally going to have 91 indictments against him, here's the thing. I don't think Republicans will. Because the moment Hillary Clinton got out of the race, the Republicans have left her alone. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll do the same thing with Joe Biden. But if he ever tries to step his foot in the ring, they're going to slaughter him. It's the difference between liberals and it's the difference between Democrats. And anyone that says the Supreme Court justices that started with fucking Gorsuch, or not Gorsuch, but Garland, it didn't. It started with Menendez long before, 20 years under Reagan's presidency. The Democrats started, and they always do this. They always use the nuclear option, and then they use it against them, and then they take it to the next level. This is what they do. You take a look at the filibuster. This was not a Republican initiative, the filibuster. This was a Democrat initiative, and the Republicans warned them, if you do this, if you use this, it's going to come back to bite you. And they did it. And this is what happened. So I like Andy. I actually really I like him. I would have a beer with him. I'd fucking want to kill him, but he's not a bad human being.
He needs to come back on and debate soccer and why he thinks that's a better sport than hockey.
If I don't like you, I'm not gonna spend 3 hours on the phone with you. But you know what, folks? We made up for it. Thanks for watching. Olivia,
darn, we don't get to watch the rest of that Biden video. And
there were so many good things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
tonight.
I know, but watching him try not to take a shit on stage for that long, that's pretty painful. That's what he looked like, his face.
See, but once again, as all liberals, is that every conservative I talk to, they can say things that I can say, all right. They can tell me why they don't like Joe Biden, and I can be like, okay, I can see that. They can't tell me why they don't like Trump from a policy perspective. I can say policy. This is what Joe Biden's done wrong. And I did. He can't tell me a policy. I just don't like him.
No, he couldn't. And that's why I had to ask. It's like, because he couldn't. And even the things that he was saying, that what Trump said and all this, it wasn't even accurate. So it's, I don't know.
I mean, but if you just go back to the filibuster and you look at like I was talking about, that was Harry Reid. You looked at the Inquisition that happened. That was Tip O'Neill, when it came against Supreme Court justices. But this was on the federal level. Democrats always do this shit. They were for the border under Reagan because they knew that the Hispanics coming over were voting for Republicans. They were for, marriages between man and a woman up until 2010 when they realized they were losing a very large demographic, and it was the single-handed largest demographic growing in the U.S. So they switched. And they said, Christian conservatives, we're going to go ahead. We're not going to get the moderates anymore. They're becoming more extreme to the right. So therefore, we're going to replace that with, who else? The LGBTQ members. That's why they want to lower the age to youth to 16 and vote. That's why they want felons to vote, because they know that these are the people who actually will support them. Democrats lose more of their base year by year by year, and they're bleeding. And the only way they can do it is to go ahead and suppress it with illegal immigration. And this is why they want it. This is the same reason why Reagan wanted it, because they voted for him. Anyway, I love you. You and I have no time to play our game. Your hair you look gorgeous, by the way. You're just a spitting image of beauty.
It was requested by several people that I wear my hair down on the show.
I'm starting to get a little annoyed by people saying that, you got to dress a certain way. I mean, it's like, dude, stop staring at my wife.
Well, apparently I look like Kate Beckinsale, so I'm okay with that.
If you look like Kate Beckinsale, you wouldn't be walking for a week. Let's look at the camera. We'll say bye-bye. Say bye-bye, everybody. Hey, Yeti wants to say bye. She's
where
meowing.
Is she? Hi, come here.
Listen, my voice, I don't have one anymore. I yelled at Andy too much.
You can put it on the main screen so everyone could see it.
Oh, so are we doing that again? Hold on. Shit. I don't know where it went. Here it is. All right. Good night, everybody. God bless. Thanks for watching. Hey, do me a favor, y'all. Please help me out. Go to the main page and like our current video. We've got a new video, and it's I don't know, what is it? What's it about? What did I do it on? I did it on Jimmy Kimmel tonight, and it's a good show. Go watch it. Go like it. Thanks for watching the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Go buy a shirt, a hat, dumbshow.com. Go subscribe on YouTube. God bless. We're out of here. Peace.
Night, y'all.
See ya.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and Mike. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on the Spreely.tv network and all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.